Just gonna do a mic check. Can the Zoom hear us?
Yeah.
But I just got home. Tonight. I didn't know what to make it out. And I was up to my cabin right before that. I was over in Uganda after this. So I hadn't been around for only a week out of the last 5 weeks.
Shoot anything?
Huh?
Shoot anything?
Oh, yeah. Lots.
One of these is wrong.
And you probably have stuff over that I haven't seen that. Isn't he probably have more stuff over there that we haven't seen yet?
Oh, yeah. He's
Hi, hon. Oh, thank you. It's gonna be like Christmas.
I forgot.
It's okay. That's all right. No worries.
scroll down through this. That's what I got. There's a couple you'll know what they are.
This-
You do need to meet, right?
Yeah, well, we ate a lot of them. Why did we do that?
You? Would you bring on some?
I will. They have to be on. Probably be a year.
We're gonna need a new barn.
Huh?
You're gonna need a new barn.
I did. I just built the 40-foot addition. Going to Zimbabwe in May. Morning.
Very odd.
Yeah. Different.
2, 3, 4. All right, somebody got. Well, you probably don't want that. Right. Yes.
Oh.
6 of these.
It's kind of different. You know, Bob is on, he's a fish Tuesday morning, and they have to leave. Kind of stuff with that, so. Hopefully, we won't have too much back.
Thank you, Lois.
That was a good question.
Thank you so much. Can you tell him thank you? Thank you. Launching what? Maybe you can print it out. I don't know what he means. My homework.
Should I go?
Well, he said he's not. Too many, they got a lot of Zoom meetings going on and he wanted to know if we could use Teams and I said, we don't have Teams loaded on anything. So. Thanks, Bruce. Oh, he's, yeah, on here, yeah. Okay.
Bless you. Okay, by me.
Is everybody ready?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, in the absence of the supervisor, I will call the meeting to order at 9 a.m. We'll have roll call. Goss here, Bennett. Here. Valmuth. Here. Glenn.
Here.
Pop is absent. For the public's knowledge, according to MCL 41.72A, if the supervisor is not present, the township board, under the direction of the township clerk, shall elect by voice vote a member of the township board as a moderator of the meeting. The township clerk has the same powers and duties as the moderator until a moderator is chosen. Do we have any nominations?
I nominate Don Glenn. I'll second that.
I don't accept.
No.
No.
I'll help you.
I got a cheat sheet for you.
Didn't realize the railroad ran through this office.
Oh, yeah.
Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Ardella.
I don't accept that.
Are there any other nominations?
I'll nominate Cheryl. A second. Goes by seniority.
Then that would be Della. Did you second that, Della?
I sure did.
I'll help you, Cheryl.
Hey, thanks. I'll accept the nomination. We'll have a roll call vote on that. Bennett,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
Balmuth,
Yes.
Pop is absent. Goss, yes. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Hearing none. Any conflicts of interest? Hearing none. Public comment. We'll start in the township hall. Is there anybody in the township hall who would like to make public comment? Please step forward to the podium.
Would you mind?
Not a problem.
Good morning. My name is Vicki Beam. I live in Whitewater Township. I am passing around the 4-to-1 ratio that is very evident in the entire township. Highlighted it for each of you to look at. My question to all of you, did you do your homework for the complaint? If not, please don't vote. I did my homework, just like high school and college, where I received an A when my homework was done properly. I'm proud to say that was most of the time. I give Heidi an A for her homework for this complaint from the last meeting. I am sad to say several of you deserve to fail this homework. I was shocked to see how little you prepared for the last meeting that included the complaint in your packet. We count on the board to uphold the ordinances that have been put in place for our township. That is what you have been elected to do. The split on Baggs Road could have happened anywhere else. Just because I live on Baggs Road is not the reason that I'm here to voice my comments today. I am here to hold all of you accountable to what you were elected to do. It is very simple. The ordinance states that a parcel is to be 4-to-1 in depth to width ratio, unless there is a reason or documentation to make an exception. And there is no documentation whatsoever for this and this parcel. General Ordinance 26 is clear. There is to be nothing built on that parcel. It's that simple. As Don Glenn stated in the last meeting about this complaint, the bell cannot be unrung. It doesn't matter how many times it has been sold, this parcel is not to be built upon. The board and the zoning administrator do not have the authority to allow a land use permit on this parcel. If I stole the treasurer's car and sold it to the supervisor, and the supervisor later sold it to the clerk, when the car is finally discovered to be stolen, it goes back to the original owner. In this case, the property goes back to Morrison Farms and it will be unbuildable. So maybe a sunflower farm can go there. Do your job. The township will have to make the unfortunate owner of this parcel whole by buying it from them. This could have all been avoided if the zoning administrator had done his job. Again, looking at that sheet, the 4-to-1 ratio is not special to agricultural. It is everywhere throughout our township. It's very clear, and as is the documentation and support that is necessary to override that requirement. This division was done before any of ours collectively were done. There was no reason that the property lines could not have been adjusted to make this parcel buildable, but the error was made. And as I mentioned, you, our township representatives, have no choice but to vote for this to be unbuildable. The clerk mentioned in the last meeting that we all should have discovered this when we purchased our property. I can assure you, clerk, that we made sure that before we made our offer for our parcels, we did our homework and have made legal divisions since. The treasurer made a comment that she thought this was a last ditch effort for us to stop the site condos. To the treasurer, I respond, don't assume you know what I think. I am part of this township and I simply want you to do what you were all elected to do. Make sure the ordinances that are in place are being followed. If you let this go through, our ordinances really mean nothing. Just think what will happen to our township. This is not the wild, wild Whitewater. Thank you.
Morning, Karen Boyd, Whitewater Township. Is anybody listening to what's being said up here?
I'm listening
Yes,
to
I was
every
taking
word of it.
notes.
Okay, just nobody was paying attention, so I just wanted to make sure that you're mentally.
We're paying attention.
Please don't assume that we're not.
That's
paying
right.
attention.
Did I asked.
That's what you
I
said.
asked. When this whole thing started, it was because the people on Baggs Road didn't want a condominium association on our road. I live on the other side of the road. But since then, it has come to our knowledge that the land has been divided illegally. It's no longer about what our wants are. It's about what's legal. It was divided almost 6-1, which is supposed to be 4-1. If there was an exception, it should have been put in at that time. It cannot be put in months later or years later, like I believe is trying to be done. I'm just assuming that that's what's trying to be done. If we don't do what's legal, you're setting a precedence for the whole township. Developers thrive on things like this. A loophole. It just baffles my mind that the developer can come in and decide how they want the property to be labeled. Where's the rights of the people that actually live here? Are we going to allow people to come into our township and determine how we're going to live? What we're going to look at? I hope not. So when you go into your meeting and go over what the attorney has suggested, I hope you realize that this is a legal issue now. It's not an opinion of some residents on Baggs Road.
Anyone else here in the public wish to make a comment? Hearing none, Lois, would you please see if there's anyone on Zoom who wishes to make a comment?
Have Connie hang on.
Connie Highmore.
Good morning. I have my comment and my husband's comment, if I can make that for him. Is that possible?
Sure.
Okay, so my comment is, sadly, I can't be attending this meeting concerning the code violation in person. At the last special meeting, I handed out color-coded maps. I'm not sure who clearly understands the timetable of that map. If I was there, I'd hand you another copy so you could visibly follow along. Morrison Orchard owned a 122.91 acre parcel of land on the corner of Baggs and Lossy. On May 5th, that acreage was split into two parcels. That's of 2020, two parcels A and B. The application for land division was signed by the treasurer, Ardella Banat, zoning administrator, Robert Hall, and assessor Dawn Coons. Lot A became 92.90 acres and Lot B became 30.01 acres. Lot B is the land that has the code violation. There was no reason at the time of division that more of Lot A couldn't have been added to Lot B to bring Lot B into compliance with the 4-1. Lot B sold on May 18th of 2020. It was 352 days later, on April 22nd of 2021, before Lot A, the parcel of 92.90 acres, that then became divided into 7 additional lots. That's almost 1 year for the error to be corrected. When did the zoning administrator know he made the error that he admitted to in the planning commission meeting of last year? On January 12th, at the last special meeting concerning this violation, I heard the phrase, "The bell has been rung." I too can say that phrase to you. The property was divided in non-compliance to the zoning ordinances. You can't change that fact. You can't undivide the land. You can't add to it. You can't take away from it. You can't wave a magic wand over it and make it compliant. The bell has definitely been rung. To allow this property to be built on, you, the board, will have to decide to break the laws of your zoning ordinances. Right now, the violation was committed by the zoning administrator, Bob Hall. If you make a decision to ignore the zoning ordinances, the board will also be in violation. Have you done your investigation of this complaint? Do you understand the fallout from your decision? Have you done your due diligence concerning the code violation? If any of the answers are no, you need to take a step back and take a closer look. I implore you to do what's right. My husband's comment, Frank Highmore. Today, we are here to discuss the Highmore complaint, as the township has named it. The word complaint is the word used in the official Whitewater Township document. However, I would like to think of this as a finding of fact we have brought to the township's attention. Many times, statements are made at these meetings without question, without reference, and many times these statements are later found to be in error. I personally have commented on board member statements asking for references, and to this day, statements are made without reference. My statements today are factual, with reference and without need of interpretation. If you have any question about where I found these documentation, feel free to email me or call me. Fact: Whitewater Township has zoning ordinances that govern how land is divided in our township. General Ordinance 26 and Zoning Ordinance 12. Fact: Whitewater Township also has a code enforcement policy and procedures manual that instructs how violations are to be handled. Fact: the Morrison Orchard Land Division dated 5/5/2020 left a parcel of land, parcel B, that is not compliant with the no greater than 1:4 width to depth ratio. It's almost 1:6. This is true through calculation and the zoning administrator's own admission at the 3/2/2022 Planning Commission meeting. Fact: the zoning administrator, assessor, and treasurer approved the Morrison Orchard Land Division application. Fact: no documentation from Morrison Orchard demonstrating the need for a greater than 1:4 ratio was ever received. Our FOIA S10 requesting the zoning administrator's documentation, nothing was given to show why. Fact: the zoning administrator admits the land division is an error and that he committed the error, again, at the 3/2/22 Planning Commission meeting. Fact: General Ordinance 26 states any parcel created in non-compliance with this ordinance shall not be eligible for any building permits or zoning approval, such as a special land use approval or site plan approval, and shall not be recognized as a separate parcel on the assessment roll. Fact: there is no time limit on a code violation. MSU Land Division Office. Fact: nonconformity follows the land, no matter how many times it has been sold. MSU Land Division Office. Fact: if a zoning violation occurred when it first started, it remains a zoning violation and should be handled with enforcement measures. MSU Land Division Office. Fact: a township ordinance is ineffective unless a uniformly enforced. Enforcement of most ordinances is accomplished by initial, informal, but firm notice to the violator, allowing a limited period to correct the ordinance violation. Where correction is not accomplished, the township should be prepared to take the next step in ordinance enforcement from the MTA book. In conclusion, per our own ordinance 26, the township must submit, quote, an affidavit or deed restriction with the county register of deeds in a form acceptable to the municipality designating the parcel as not buildable. Any lesser action would place the board in violation of their own ordinance. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else on Zoom, Lois, that
No.
wishes to speak?
I need to say something.
I have one more up.
I thought you said no.
They popped it up very quickly.
Okay.
Tom?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Vicky Emerson, citizen, Whitewater Township. I just want to say I am very thankful that there are people who are concerned about this township and how we move forward in following our own ordinances. And thank you for all the comments of Vicky, Karen, Connie. There clearly has been a lot of research put into this, and I believe it is for the greater good of this township to follow our own ordinances. And once again, the bell has been rung. You can't unring it. So I hope that you do take serious consideration. I could not have said their comments any better, so I'm not going to try to repeat their information. But I'm thankful. This has been a long, drawn-out process that they have stuck to it and done so much research, as this is a very complicated issue. So thank you for your time and consideration, and I do hope that you hold up township ordinances. Otherwise, I have no trust and there is no value in an ordinance. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else, Lois?
I just have a comment. I need to correct something that was listed as a fact. And it's wrong. The treasurer does not approve a land division. The treasurer's involvement in this is to verify if the taxes are paid before approval. That's it. It is not my job to check the application whatsoever. So that was listed as a fact. It's not a fact. Just because you start a sentence with the word fact does not always make it a fact.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in public comment?
May I explain what I meant by that?
I'm sorry, Connie. You just get one chance to speak on a topic.
Okay,
So
thank
moving
you.
to the first agenda item. Review legal opinion regarding Highmore complaint closed session. We've been provided with an appropriate motion by the attorney. Is there someone who would like to make that motion?
Sure, I'll read it. Motion to enter closed session under MCL 15.268, paragraph 1, subparagraph H, and MCL 15.243, paragraph 1, subsection G, in order to discuss a confidential written legal opinion from the township attorney regarding township land divisions and specifically parcel 13-136-001-02.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on the motion?
I guess I just had an afterthought. After the citing the MCL 15.268, I interpreted that as a 1. Is that possibly an L?
I think it's a 1.
I thought it was too. My recollection is that it's a 1, but I just thought I'd throw that out there just for verification.
We can ask Matt.
Okay.
Is there any other comment on the motion? We'll have a roll call vote. Pop is absent. Valmuth,
Yes.
Denick, Yes. Glenn,
Yes.
Goss, yes. We will adjourn to closed session at 9:21 a.m.
Madam Clerk, just to clarify, the MCL citations are both number one and then subsection letters, so you guys are correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm leaving this one running in here. I'm gonna use it. Okay. Can you grab my pen, please?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did grab one. Thank you.
You have one? Okay.
Thank you. Oh, it's still being recorded. Yep.
Did I have like a raspberry? From there? On the picture, isn't it? Well, see, what I do is I let half of it. Because I think it's too strong. So like it's just 16 ounces or whatever, and so I do 32 ounces in one thing. So if I make a picture of it, I can have her come over. And put a couple in. Yeah. Yeah. Right, well, because it's so strong. Yeah. Oh, good. I know. Again. Right. Your tea makes me think of that. No, I just like the hot water. That's what I've been doing when I go to the restaurant, I just order hot water. Oh my God, so I have. I don't, it's hot. Yeah. High Point, is any of the old buildings being used? Is that like some of the being turned into this is the old building? Right. And I knew where the building was, they're reusing the existing building there, is that where I am, but I don't know.
Say, going with the golf course.
Well, I don't know, I'm just wondering where they are, I mean, I know they're doing something, but I don't know myself, I'm just wondering which.
They're usually, back 9, and putting another 9 in, I think this is the new development. I don't know if they're reusing any of the old or not.
Oh, that's.
I don't know.
Where they're going, I see they go from Bates Road to Moore Road, they got miles, 2 miles, that's probably Arnold. Road. That's. But other than that, I can't.
They're using back 9
Right.
as the,
Front line.
that's already there,
Right, as well.
so,
The whole building area was.
yeah, so this is all new.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the previous building area was in, which is
Yeah.
on the township line.
Right.
So, yeah, that is new.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested, I own Twin Birch in Calcasieu, so I wonder what's.
It's.
Yeah, we're putting a new clubhouse and all that in right now.
Yes, I don't think it's gonna be a competition thing.
I've owned it about 13 years now.
Yeah.
My cousin Ronnie Cross built it.
Okay.
My dad loaned him money to get it going in the 60s.
Nice.
So-
Well, we played every time we went there.
So it's just hard, you know, the season isn't long enough, it's either too hot, too cold, too wet. And there's so many golf courses. Well, 3 Calcasieu is kind of hard to brand new Timberwolf and Twin Birch. So,
Right,
it-
that's where you want us to.
yeah.
Oh, that's where we go to. Yeah, that's what's the way my twins. That was pretty well, my.
Yeah,
That was read by one night, which was one of the.
yeah.
Like,
At Grandview, I could always score 4 or 5 strokes better because I could hit it way over here and then hit it back. You don't do that at Twin Birch, you're out, unless you hit a tree and it comes back. Yeah, yeah, well, it's gonna be nice. Yeah. Between COVID and building supplies and everything you can imagine slowed it down. But now here, this is gonna be private. Yeah, I live on the Ski Mud Point South.
Okay.
The big cell phone towers on my back over.
Yeah.
I got 100 and some acres there. Matter of fact, when I was digging ponds, everybody around here, I was putting a golf course in there. Well, I don't know. I just had heard they were planning on shutting it down and doing some things. And
Is that what happened?
that, well, Mark, the head went belly up. In a bank in Texas had it. And what would happen every time somebody showed some interest, the owners of Grandview, which is Price Thomas, the Ashels, all that, they'd step up and make a counter offer. And then they would, yeah, then they wouldn't follow through. So when I made an offer, the guy says, you put the money down, it's yours. So I did.
Okay.
So,
13 years ago.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
That we just about.
yeah.
They were. Kicking us out.
Well, Mark didn't keep it up. The greens were hard, you know, just everything. It's in good shape now. Real good. Real good. No, it's. We got Toby Davis, he's the chef at Lock and he's coming over. He's been in the league for a long time. And graduated in finance. We'll see. Yeah, and so we'll see how it goes. 5,000 square feet. So it was made. Well, we have a free speaking room that's, it's garage doors, all glass, that'll be open and it's nice and shut them, two great infrared heaters in there, so it's gonna be nice. Nice, we'll see, I gave it basically to my youngest son, I sold my business to my oldest son. It's, I'm trying to get retired, but I keep getting old. This year, I'm just interested to see what happens. We'll see. Yep, thanks.
Band, I get to show we do DJ too, though, right, you know, but it's not as long as there's music. Yeah, I don't really need something. Follow, you know, also. Yeah, just like, because I'm trying to get everything. Let me ask Charles. I wonder if we try to reserve maybe September. Yeah.
Your property in the affected area of the township's closed. Yeah.
Well, have a good day today. I'm going. I gotta go doctor visits. Oh. This is not. Yeah, yeah. Supposed to come this afternoon. Yeah, so hopefully it's good today. Yesterday? Yes. Oh, no, I didn't go to that one. Oh. I went to Mrs. Parker. Yeah. I went to hers yesterday. If you are. She's having it rough. She was pretty close to her dad. She was. And she hasn't been sleeping. And now she's dealing with her sister. Oh, yeah. She gets bossy. Yeah, because she's the oldest. She's had problems in the past with her getting bossy. Oh, yeah, it's getting bad. Yeah. That's a good one. Thanks. Oh, wait, it's you. Because of the sex player. Yeah. That was fun. You know, there's no function in the solar area, big function.
No.
There's a whole here to learn that. Early in the years of March. There's 25, 35, 55,000. None. None.
That's
Okay, it's either, none.
really,
Yes.
that surprises me.
The floor, but they have a lot of, there's no, needs doors for.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to do with a function. There's nothing. That's actually, yeah, it's really sad. A couple of those, golf farms, we take them into this function.
Yeah, but it's hard to have a golf course and a function place in the same place. You know, I just, yeah. Like some people try to hit a night bar, you know, music, that kind of things, and it just don't.
I would like.
It don't go. But then, yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's true.
That's on. The entire tip and market.
Yeah,
And you have geography on your side. You're much more easy to reach than Traverse City is from the rest of the area.
yeah, Travis, I don't go there unless I know what I want to go get out of it.
So.
I even saw a thing on $100 million bridge across for the bypass.
Awesome. It would ever be, it will be.
Well, that's why they're doing it, to protect all
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's getting to be like a little San Francisco from there. It's amazing. Huh? Yeah, yeah. That road system definitely wasn't made for the kind of traffic it's got. Yeah.
People, they just sort of down, 10 years ago, the bypass that would have been 131, but they never, and got them a nice. It wouldn't take us.
Would have really eased things up.
It's literally offered them a lot of new access that don't exist.
I agree.
So we're gonna be open this summer.
Opened by late spring,
Nice,
being opened up.
nice.
I won't say all the bugs will be out yet, but we'll be working on it.
What were you?
Island Pipeline Remediation Company.
Pipeline mediation, getting rid of something.
Huh?
Mediation, getting rid of.
Fixing existing lines, big ones down around the cities.
Ice.
You know, I'm talking 36-inch pipe,
Oh, yeah.
big stuff, so. Yeah, it treated me pretty good. So I do a lot of hunting now in Africa and all over. Yeah,
After,
I just got back from Uganda.
really?
Yeah,
All right.
and then I own a section up by the Porcupine Mountains, and we just snowmobiled in and did some shoveling and. Oh, so,
Real nice to feel then.
Yeah, there's some country up there.
Yeah.
I parked at a friend of mine in Berlin, that's Lake Oviva, and that's snowmobile back up here. It is, it's a good time. No, couple friends, and my son was up there the weekend before. And was Steve Merchant, and we all go for it. Anyhow, he took his lab up with it. That's too much trouble when you're snowmobiling in and snow's that deep. Huh? Well, they made it back alive, so pretty good, I guess.
But having the dog.
It went, up there, and you gotta watch it, you got wolves and coyotes and everything else, your dog would make a nice little meal. So, we saw wolf, coyote tracks, all kinds of. Yeah.
Go. If we're gonna do it, when you're in these places, like Africa and stuff.
You're way out in camps and you've got your white hunter and that, and you kind of, that's the part of what I really like is the different cultures and tribes and good. They've trained them and eat a lot of game meat and some chicken and lamb and whatnot, so it's good. I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I've been over there like 14 times, I guess. Yeah, and I've been to a lot of countries. Mozambique, Zambia, Namibia, and Mozambique, Zimbabwe. I like it. Yeah, I've seen a lot of different things.
Yeah. They were really good. Yeah. Yeah, it's the world. So there's somebody from Whitewater Township that one of his neighbors, they're in the winter, and a bear has been before. Really? Because there wasn't, like weather. Yeah. And like one day it was trying to put twigs and branches and throw itself out, but all the people that we needed to the Oswald's to see if that they are very controlled by the okay. That's pretty funny. That at least yeah. Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah. He said and don't feed them. You know, just let him do this, yeah. let him do his thing. But it was, I think that's like right over here.
Really?
I can't remember what road it's on. It's like, I think the road just passed out, I guess.
I see beer fairly enough.
Do you?
I travel, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't travel like he does, but
yeah,
you know, when they're out there.
yeah. I know somebody, when we were renting in Hoyles, somebody let us know that there was one just down the shore from us that was walking along the shore, but we never saw it. I think her dog was here or whatever.
Oh, well, yeah. That's. And that was this year?
Yeah. Yeah, we were there through, we moved out of the beginning of July, I think it was, might have been that it was in May or June. And then boy, coyotes are digging holes right in our backyard, like right up to the house, it's crazy.
I hear a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. They do.
And then last night coming home from work, I had to wait for the river crossing from me. They weren't in any hurry either.
Really,
Just walk.
we're nesting that ground all the time. I see the little sit bars where, you know, yeah, hanging out, you know, the whole bird that hangs in some certain areas, you know, yeah, it's great.
Well, it's fun at Copeland's. It's so funny to go by there and they'll have the deer right on their porch. And then the sandhill cranes.
Yeah,
Will be in their yard and they look like they have statues.
that's right. They probably have rooms there too.
Yeah.
That's quite the area there. That's like, they're probably, with the kids, they probably had everything.
Yeah.
That's why they're on the porch.
Yeah, it's that is true about the rooms because we were on speaking of Karen, oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're very careful.
Yeah. Absolutely love it.
Uh,
Yeah. For a lot of snow. Yeah, they're showing feet diverge. Yes, it looks like. Oh my gosh, 18 to 24 inches. With snowstorm coming, the forecast say 18 to 24 inches.
Yeah, I've heard. But I didn't do that much. That's a lot.
It is a lot. And it's gonna be that heavy.
I heard 8 to 12, but
This white is like little colors.
yeah, it wasn't really telling in that icy. It probably made noise in the land.
Yeah, they're saying it's gonna be the biggest one in the season.
Well, this isn't fair. This is the most interesting part of the meeting and they get to have it without us. I don't hear what's going on.
I would too. Transparency.
But the thing is, I really expected there to be lawyers here, that the lawyers to come and tell us what the law is. Here's a real man.
oh, You didn't need to do that.
Oh, look, you got it there?
Yeah. Yep. I had a big old farm barn in 72. I just had it re-rubbed, doors fixed, painted red. And my insurance gal even said, "You want insurance?" I said, "Oh, hell, it's been there 100 years, it'll be fine." About a month and a half later, it burned to the ground.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that?
That was right in 72, just east of where, the old place, the old, that, what is their name, lived there now? Well, there's Ron Pop's place, then right to the west of it's my, about 4 acres. And then the little place before you get to Skate Mog on the south side, I can't remember their name.
You know people and I only know things.
And that's what I own there, and then I own the railroad grade, at one time, I owned the railroad grade all the way from Watson Road. All the way to Bags Road.
The grade?
They made me buy a mile and a half of it to get the piece I wanted.
Wow.
I sold for next to nothing, Arnie Boyd. A long 80s worth to Bags Road that way. And at the time it was Chris Copeland from the center of Steve Mog to Watson. I sold that to Chris.
Okay.
And then kept my half mile in there.
Well, you.
And then I bought,
You really stake out your piece of the property.
oh, hell, I think I've got 9 different parcels.
Really?
I bought from, where, Ron Poppins, there was a 10 on the other side of the railroad. And I bought that. I bought 40 acres from Hagedorn, I bought 10 acres from Nowhere, I bought 5 acres from Gordon.
Quite the collection.
I bought 14 acres from Sonny Merrick. And I bought the railroad grade. And then I bought what was the guy that lived in Pop's place? Shoot. That was one of the first ones that I bought. He moved over to Traverse City. I'll think of it.
Nine different parts.
What about that, 8 or 9,
Give or take.
yeah.
Okay. I'll leave you the lines.
Yeah, so it's all together. It's all with,
It's,
yeah, it's matter, well, there's another one, I bought 20 acres in the house back there. From Bob Rowe. That they called him Florida Bob, lived in back there. I bought that house in 20 acres just 2 years ago. That hooks onto the east side of my property. Huh? No, it's off Watson back.
Oh,
there.
Watson, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, just right where, right, basically the end of the road, put it into the little one where, right, what's her name? She's around here like that. I can't remember their name right off the top of my head, that,
We're accumulating, you have a lot in the head that accumulates.
Yeah. but they're, let's see, David, can't remember their last name off the top of my head. She's an aide at the school. Their driveway's there, and then you turn to go back into this one right out. It's one of the things where I see everybody in the family.
And I haven't narrowed down anywhere you were talking about.
Yeah, if you're on Watson, you go just about to where it turns into 2-track is.
So what do? Do you rent these out afterwards, or what do you do with your collection? The land, your land collection?
Just
Keep it?
try that, yeah, just, I've got a blacktop driveway that's almost a half mile long. The house is just about in the middle of the property.
I've seen from all angles probably, right?
Oh, you can see it, my house this time of year from 72.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, if you look at that tower back there, the big one, and then what?
Street of the tower.
No,
Not that one.
no, it's a cell phone tower.
Okay.
Back there.
Am I in the right area with that lookout place?
I don't know where you're talking about.
Never mind. Okay.
So it must not have been close to.
What is your?
Lookout tower for there.
That used to look out of the state of my lake or lookout. Yeah.
When I first moved.
Yeah, it's been there for.
That's how across from that rest area.
Yes, yeah.
And then.
Yeah, I just like that, I lived there, but I didn't know that's a cat. I don't know where that is. Now I go down the hill and buy Harper Creek, buy a new road, which is Bags Road.
Yeah.
Well, at the top of the hill, down you're getting into my 100 and I always forget to put all the pieces together. I think I got like 110 acres there.
Is it, fishable or,
Well, I've got 3 ponds. The top one's brook trout, middle is rainbow, browns, perch. And the bottom is bass and bluegill.
you get something for everything?
Sometimes there are people from the race wander over. Just I only let kids.
No, you probably not.
Oh, yeah. Blueberries, English, spread.
Yeah, it's got some pretty good wildlife, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe the bears, that would. they'd be-
I once in a while.
Yeah.
Theaters and.
Yeah.
So it's.
A few years ago. Properties next to each other.
Oh,
Yeah, they're 80 on this side of the road hooks up to mine. Yeah, I owned that railroad grade up 2 bags for a while and then I sold it to Army. I didn't want it. They wouldn't sell me my piece. Yeah, you mentioned that because the state's got it.
Yeah, because they want to save it for, a walking trail.
I guarantee you.
It goes-
I've heard that on the money, cause I own that, before that ever happened, there wouldn't be no railroad grade. My own big excavators and dozers, they'd just be back to a trip. Cause, well, for walking, 99% of the people, I wouldn't have any problem. But it's that 1% that had to be into my ponds and raising hell, I don't want them nowhere near mine.
but that's. He was across 72 from you, no, just recently, where he, was building that pole barn up at the top of the hill.
No,
Yeah.
no.
They,
I was in Africa when that happened. I had a little one in my place there.
Yeah, he has no idea.
Still, I don't know if a Federal Express guy threw a cigarette out or what. You tell about where it started. And when the wind was blowing strong out of the east, luckily. Then I have no idea,
wow.
but
Was
that's
there-
bugging me. I can't remember their name. What's short guy with the whiskers that lives back there by Florida Bob's old place, right? Got the old place, had the sled dogs and all that shit in there. Looks like a junkyard, but yeah, Williams. That's where you turn to go back into, you know, I bought that.
Oh, yeah, Bob's.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I heard you rent that out now, don't you?
yeah, well, sometimes my daughter's been up from North Carolina, well, she really likes it, don't pay for nothing, and stays. And until I start thinking, when the hell are you going home? Yeah, so she's there now. But yeah, and now it's supposed to be 30 days. You'll see me back in here if somebody starts telling me what the hell they do with my property, unless they want to help me pay the taxes on it. You know, we keep it real good and so. I don't know what they're gonna do. If they try enforcing that, there's a bunch of people, a lot more than is mad about this. You know, on the short-term rentals. Well, I understand what they keep it equating it to is the south end of Torch. That's a whole different. For this is, you know, I can hear anybody if they
Right.
use a hammer. If I don't like what's going on, I'm not shy. They would be gone. My son on Elk Lake Roads had one. Hell, he even rented his house out too and stayed in our basement for a little while. That summer, I think he made like 60 grand.
Yeah.
You know, between his house and
For the.
I basically bought this neighbor's a nice log home. And for Quinn, he uses that as a rental there.
Silver little place?
Who?
Silver?
No,
No.
this guy. He moved down on the Tennessee River,
What's the name of the road?
right there off Elk Lake
Oh,
Road.
I see it.
It's basically Quinn's driveway and it wide. And the log place is up right to the south of Quinn's. And so they you know, they gotta be a little enforcement, and I guess if you're gonna do it, you should pay a fee or something if they got problems, but. I just
So you're pro more renting shorter term.
Yeah, yeah, if somebody misuses it, well, they lose it then or whatever, but.
Yeah.
I just don't like unilaterally saying what the hell I do or can't do with it.
Yeah.
My wife takes care of that, and all I seem to do is get paid the insurance and taxes.
Fair enough.
It's been a money maker.
It's logical.
Yeah, so, oh, but it's,
Are you guys still raising, is she still raising dogs?
yeah, not near as much here. She's got a little one, a King James Cavalier.
Oh,
Yeah.
They're just cuter now, Miss pregnant now. Yeah,
But that waddles
so-
cutely. Do you know how much you can sell those puppies for?
It's gonna get like $4 a piece,
Exactly.
because this is a grand cheap, mother is,
Those are, yes.
and have all the things. That for everything you can think of, and it's past all that, so they get a lot of money.
They do. They're sweet dogs.
Yeah, they are.
You know, they're fair.
Sharp little shit
Yeah,
too.
yeah. We went the other way.
Yeah. Well, she's got, still got 4 labs and raises a litter every once in a while, not like she used to. Huh?
You're being recorded.
Oh, I don't care.
Just wanted to let you know.
No, nothing comes out of my mouth and I'm scared of.
I didn't think so.
No,
Mine either.
So far, it's not been that interesting.
no.
Yeah, I have a friend down in Florida that has 2 like King Charles, and those are just cute.
Oh, yeah.
They're a little feathery. We have a has 2.
Believe marks, and their hair sticks out on top of their head and everything.
Any idea how, like, who the litter with it? I mean, is that small dog?
Oh, yeah, but it's gonna be between 4 and 6 pups, they're thinking.
It's quite a
Maybe she's getting, I believe.
That's quite a pretty good cash cow, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we. I know that. Don't you not to stay away.
There. And I always told her, never have a house, so I'm gonna come home from there, here's that damn thing. Sat there and then fell in love with the thing. Yeah, it was that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'll jump up on my lap and read. Take his paw and hit the dog. And I won't pay any attention. Take both of them. Yeah.
She was doing labs, right?
Yeah, and still does. Scott take them up, yeah.
So maybe switch to the,
Phasing out of that.
maybe switch to the King Charles, just something different.
I don't really know.
Yeah, they're really.
Her
cute.
friend was into them and downstate. And just one thing led to another.
They are. So sweet. And we never did small dogs until.
No, I never did a lot on. And,
Well, the nice thing though, you can stick her in a little carrier and take her on the plane.
yeah,
I would love to have a short girl, yeah, they don't travel. quite as easy.
no, I'm not here as soon as. You need to put her in anything.
So we went the other way, we had 35 years of little dogs, and then we got a peer, great peer. And oh, a big dog, yeah. A great peer. Smart, and then the best house dog ever. It's really a good house dog. Very nice, all the day it's outside, but at night it comes and protect us. And it's really.
Yeah.
Very, very sweet. Very lovely. That's her big dog, and that's her little dog. Dog, yeah, but, yeah. That's her.
Tim, Tim. Well, I'm here, my day's already screwed up with meetings, so I go, hell, I must have hit this one first. I didn't get your thing about 8 o'clock last night. I didn't have no cell service on order. Then I had a bunch of stuff. And I got done with that.
Well, it's weird how there's so many special meetings. They've been having other meetings about the, expansion of the boat launch.
Yeah, and this golf course.
Yeah, that golf course, I was here when the, one gentleman came to talk about it. They were talking to somebody out in the parking lot, but it sounded like, remember, it's gonna be like 7 figures.
Yeah, it's supposed to be it's a private club. And I had boys, you know, you got the country club and Lock and Heath is, so that's 3 private.
Well, what is the other one? Isn't that private that you?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
There's country club, Kingsley, Lock and Heath. Now this one that.
I guess they're here more, so those are gonna be more of the world than just in, so that's what he was talking about. He's from West Palm Beach. We're on the map then.
Yeah, I don't see that will affect me at all. It's we're just. Public road.
No, I don't think so. I don't raise my property value. Yeah, I think the thing that they were talking about is that they're doing more road. And, you know, thanks for a lot, person, they're saying, you know, they might want to think about that road and then that more road coming out on 72.
Yeah, it's no piece of cake. We don't always take it. And I'm a 70, so we go around the lake,
Yeah.
even though it's right there.
Yeah,
It's not
schools, you know.
already without that traffic.
Yeah, I think it'll be running.
Yes, I don't have any problem. I kind of like the idea. If they just let me in for lunch. That's all. And golf.
I really won't even do that.
Oh, probably not even to the driving range. Right? I was thinking I could walk to them.
They said no, there'll be nothing. They might have a special. I don't know if that would be.
No.
Oh, it's a sad story. Not-
Why would you want to go to a fundraiser for something you can't use?
It wouldn't be well attended by me.
I know, I was so looking forward to that.
What was the last year that the high school was open?
Yeah.
Pops farm right there.
You know?
They were supposed to make that.
I seen 58 back here. And that's something seeing old Dave Galligan, that's who my son Quinn bought a chunk of his property and he named a little creek there, Gallagher Creek. We gave him a lifetime membership golfing out at Twinburg. Nice guy, but he's pretty much, you know, he isn't even home now. But nice guy. Yeah. So is his brother, you know, the little one with the, he had a beard and a little wax mustache and he was a character. So I knew some of them, but losing that whole generation pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and all of these, you see the names and you go, oh.
Yeah, they're all Praise and Stites and Boys and, you know, half of them, there's roads names, you know, after their families.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there are times out of the line.
Can't get much.
But they-
And up there's dockeries and.
Well, yeah. Oh.
Everything's something that. Well, I didn't even, there was actually a person with that whole name.
Yeah.
Ah,
Lydia.
I didn't know that. I didn't know where that came from.
That's probably.
Yeah.
Makes sense though.
There.
Oh, yeah, there's that gal there, June did.
That's,
We know that.
They had 2 people.
You know, you-
That are.
Just human nature, I guess. You think everybody will always remember you, remember about everything. Hell, just another generation or so that. What was that?
I was at a, whole, air memorial thing, or I can't think what it's called, down there, it's near the, Kennedy Space Center, Florida.
Oh,
And Air Force Museum thing, and the guy said they're the. Say dead and forgotten,
Yeah.
he says that it's, and that's like 2 generations back.
Yeah.
And I get to think about it,
it's good.
right, it's like my dad's 97, so I mean, that's unusual, like he's gonna be around. Even as many great grandchildren
Yeah,
and great grandchildren. But like my kids as kids, most of them, the two oldest know
mhm.
them, but the rest of them are.
No, they don't have anything,
and
but
they won't-
just like a TV, ask somebody about Lauren Green or, you know,
Right.
Michael Land, or anybody from any of those. And now don't have to go back that far. Your kids go,
And the sad part
or
is,
they gun smoke or anything,
Yeah.
you know.
sad part is a lot of the history that goes away too. Like,
Right.
This is World War II back. Well, we have stuff around and share and try and keep the kids because,
That's all.
you know, you lose that history, you lose it.
That.
Yeah.
And they don't care, you know. it
No,
just-
so then that's why problems come back.
Yeah. We just can't. Heck, we used to, I had to be in the dark and that was it, you know, we always playing baseball, doing something. You don't see that no more. I don't know when the last time I really see some kids out in the field, just,
Yeah.
you know, playing batter up or whatever. They don't, you know, they got these, that drives me nuts. They'd be watching TV with my kids and whatnot, we're watching like Yellowstone or something.
Yeah.
They're watching, got that thing going.
Both,
Yeah,
my grandkids are like that.
Yeah, mine too.
Especially one of his sons. But I mean, I get it with him, he is ADD
mhm.
and he can, I mean, he can totally. Do complete things at one time.
Yeah, you're kind of missing. You can't completely do two things at once. You're missing something out of one. So it, but there's always exceptions, but they just,
Mostly it is not that way, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
you can tell when you're getting old and you know more people that are dead than are alive. That's the way I'm getting. Hell, I graduated in 73. It's our 50th reunion this year, and we'll have it out at the golf course out there at Cleveland. You know, the bad thing about that is people come from all over the US, but people that live in town won't come.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
the-
yeah, that's how it is with mine. I was up in Coopersville.
Uh-uh.
And, I have tried to go, maybe I've hit half, I don't know. But mostly because it's just not that interesting to me.
Yeah, it's, you know, like the 50th here, it'll be interesting. You watch some of the guys that hardly ever come to anything like that, right? In town, won't be there.
Yeah.
And it just,
See, that is, because when I have gone, it's hardly any of the people who actually live right in Coopersville.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they'll come from all over.
Yeah. Send an email saying what happened. Didn't even think of that. Of that.
I can name 10 people that live right within 15 miles of where it's gonna be, and they won't be there.
Priorities.
Oh, yeah. Or not thinking they were enough of a success or something. Who cares? And
Oh, right.
maybe that mattered when he was 30, but
Yeah,
damn sure don't it.
anything.
Yeah,
Actually, but yeah,
yeah. After a while, it was who's got what and all that. Not me, but a lot of
For
them.
those first 5 years and 10 years, I think it was more like that. I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I didn't care
See who was fat, got skinny.
quite.
See who was fat, got skinny, who was skinny, got fat. That's a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out I was at it.
Okay, that's one thing. I don't think it's supposed to, any tomorrow's not supposed to start really. Yeah, Wednesday night, Thursday, it's early. And it's supposed to be done by Friday. But you said, how much inches? It said up to 20. That's a little higher than I heard. I was prepared, well, I was up and on this morning, she said. No, not that much. Yes. I mean, 3 or 4 doesn't, we don't bat an eyelash. Yeah, let's see. What's your weather saying?
No, that was guy's heads in the way, but. Yes.
Really, really, really. Sorry. And it was cold. Yeah. Poor you, I'm sorry. I know. We still had Florida air over here. We were breathing the reheated air in the house. Yeah. I know, but at least we've had some fun. We did, we had a couple, you got fun down there. Yeah, but I mean, here, even here, actually, it was a lot. We did it actually, Saturday wasn't bad either, I think it was. There were 2 good days in a row.
Yeah, Sunday was.
Not the night, and we went through 3 months, we never.
No, I mean.
I believe you're pretty big, it felt like.
That was, I don't recall it being that, no, I was up in the UP, so it really didn't was maybe, but it, I mean, every day of sun.
Really, I think it was 8. That's when I was supposed to be the banana belt, and maybe that's what they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Where are you gonna be?
I was in the middle.
Oh, that would be good. I still took the phone and follow, so I like them a lot. There's 2 people. I went there a lot, not so much now anymore.
Well, that's what I'm about.
That's why they're, I don't know. Absolutely. Well, when you're at Oswald, you still got 20 miles to go. If you can't 22, that's pretty big.
It's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That, it's like so quiet here most of the time. Like, I haven't heard anyone.
All the time, unless you're. Yeah. No, I like it.
I like going up there in winter. There.
Have you been all the way up to Chanticleer River?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Yeah, we actually, we went in, 5 weeks, people, before people, when they really go to Florida.
Oh, great. Very nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
I was really.
Yeah. Lovely. I have customers there too. And customers, he was saying, Paragraph.
Oh, yeah.
I go up there, I go to Ontonagon.
Yeah, Whitewater Town, it's so pretty.
That's
pretty
great.
location,
That's great.
but it.
No, it's not in which, I can go to, Market, I know Market, I vote but Ontonagon. It's like Traverse City used to be, you know. About 50 years ago. 30 anyway. I really like the, that whole.
Stubbs Museum Bar. I go there quite a bit when I'm up there in Ontonagon.
Oh, yeah.
It's only about 20 miles from my cabin. I'm out in the middle of the Ottawa National Forest, about 10-15 miles from Porky's.
Yeah. I know where you are. We got you covered. We got that area covered. It's really pretty, yeah, it's really lovely.
It's funny when you know we were in Maine. We were, you see the evergreen.
Yeah, I remember. That's why I'm a Boston girl. I am from Boston.
Okay.
And raised there, and then moved to what I told myself Traverse City was the Burlington.
Oh, sure.
The area, that's how I transitioned to this area without like going to grow up. That's it. So, what did I just, I mean, I went down, this, somebody's gonna just, have you been going to the mountain? Go. I think about the one they started. And so we. So we. No, yeah, yeah, I was right now, okay, so not, I live in that area, I was. Courthouse is a more of a hippie area. Yeah. But then I moved to a back bay there in like. Newbury area, Newbury, okay, so the back bay is out of the type ACTV, okay, so and then across Newbury is the street that has all the peaks on it, okay. And so I was at Glasgow Street, okay, and back bay, I was like half a block from where the explosion happened in Moscow. Right down here. It's a sweet area to live in. I had 3 outdoor restaurants. Yeah. I'm looking at that temperature. Oh, that's 20 inches. Is that over the whole range or just over maybe one? It doesn't say. Oh, that's good. Oh, shoot. Better look at my groceries then. That's the funny part. It's like everybody does that. It's like, well, it's stuck in the house, but it's still not for that. But I think knowing there's no food is worse than best. Not live with them. I'm so excited for my. I know. Oh, yeah, the mural on it, the mural on it. We have tons of stuff. They never have it. Our kids are talking about doing college this year. Oh, that'd be awesome. Michigan native plants. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna try to just take out as many of the old sticks, I mean, because we're losing birds and bugs by the millions. Yeah. And this is a good sign. I'm seeing a lot of butterflies. You know.
Whether I'm doing a lot of milkweeds. Not go count the caterpillars. This year, I found one.
If you guys are all done, and you'll shut that fan off in the women's bathroom. I'm going noise.
And a lot of it's in the habitat where they're from the next, different places.
So they are coming back up.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm picking my garden over, getting ready to grow and all the nice things are. Years, all the mistakes. And I'm pretty. That'll be easy.
I choose that.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Let the record reflect we're returning to public session at 10:31 a.m. actually. Do we have a motion?
Here, I'll make a motion. Motion to proceed as discussed in closed session with additional research of state law and local ordinance.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Goss, yes. Valmir,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
Pop is absent. Bennett,
Yes.
that brings us to our next agenda item, budget work session, general fund and all other funds. According to the packet provided, we're starting out with the general fund. Page 1 of this document, budget totals, is just a summary of the funds, not the actual line items. So unless anybody has any objection, I would propose we start out with general fund revenue.
It's fine.
Anybody have any objection to that?
No.
No.
Does anybody have any? I have some comments, but I don't have to go first. Does anybody have any comments on general fund revenue line items?
Looking at a note here, looking for note number 1 on general fund revenues, account 670, the cell tower lease. This is more so maybe, and I don't know if we should wait in case Ron comes back tomorrow, because I know that's Ron's note, and he supplied a list of references. He was looking at that, proposing that at 24,000. I'm hoping that maybe one of my colleagues can weigh in on that, because I have not seen that cell tower lease, so.
You know, I think it's been about 10 years since I've seen it.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I'm not really sure what he's referring to here.
Okay,
So probably would need to bring that back to him.
okay, we'll just leave that.
I might have the info because I think I took it out of this book.
Well, just for everybody's kind of advocation on the cell tower lease, there's I believe that's a quarterly payment. Or is that a monthly one? No, the cell tower lease is a monthly
It's
payment.
monthly.
We get a monthly payment. And somewhere along the way in the year, the amount on that, I guess, yeah, it changes somewhere in the year. So, but I mean, if the revenue and expenditure or the budget worksheet that I gave Ron showed the 44,775 in the prior year, I'm not sure if maybe somehow an extra month got posted. You know, maybe we had 13 months posted or something. I do know that Ron's figures typically have been low on what the cell tower lease brings in, but I think we can check that with him.
Okay,
Yeah,
Did-
because you got on the budget worksheet from 2022 to 2023. There's a big difference. like $9,000, almost $9,000.
Well, and actually, if you look at the, you know, what was budgeted for this was $34,844. But if you look at the actual through January, it's already almost at that number.
Mhm.
And we have a couple months that aren't posted yet. So January is not posted. February has yet to
Yeah,
be
you got 3
posted.
months.
There's a couple months, so this is gonna go up over what was, you know, it's gonna be more than what was
44,700,
forecasted.
the 44,775, you think will be slightly higher.
No, I'm saying it's going to be higher than the actual through January
yes.
column.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, okay.
because of those couple payments. And it depends on when we get the March one. The March will probably be posted in here too, but sometimes when we get things at the very tail end of the month, they don't get posted till the beginning of the next month.
Right.
But I guess we can ask him about that figure.
Cause it's
I
a
had-
big difference.
I'm sorry.
It's a big difference. You've left money on the table. That could be a lot of money. Couple grand.
Yeah, well, I say we get it as accurate as possible. Do you have any other issues? With those numbers in the general fund revenues? Don?
I guess 665 interest earned just seems a little low.
We're not making money anywhere.
Yeah.
The interest rates being given out by the banks are all very low. And it was a drastic turn when it happened. I mean, it was like overnight.
Yeah.
They just fell off.
Well, I guess we're just running about $500 more than where we're already over what we had projected. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much closed out. That's where it's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Now, if I could ask a question, to Della, I guess, 573, local community stabilization. So that shouldn't be zero, right? We just haven't gotten that yet. We
No,
don't,
it changed a while back, Cheryl. It doesn't, they no longer do it under the stabilization. They do it under a different act. So it's all grouped into the state revenue sharing.
oh.
So
okay.
that will be zero for,
Yes.
so was
Yeah,
that last year and we just broke it out? Or was it a separate?
It was actually separate, but they.
Yeah, so
they
now it's been
changed-
blended together. So,
Right, they changed how they report it.
okay,
They're like, we no longer get paper checks either. It all comes through the Sigma
okay.
program.
Okay. So that's gonna be zero.
And that's blended in where now?
With the next line, state
State revenue.
shared
yeah,
revenue.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, so that's gonna be in there. So what do you think about that state shared revenue? Do you think that's close? Donna?
Ron has been pulling those numbers from the state website. And so I don't.
Right.
But as you can see, it was more than what he projected last year so far. We did the 250,000 last
Yeah,
year.
right,
We're at 253, 368.
right.
So I think we have one more payment for this year because they do it quarterly.
Yeah, okay.
So it'll be higher. So he pulls those numbers from the state website is where he gets them.
Right. I don't have any other questions on revenue. I would only say that typically after Board of Review is done in March, and by the time of the budget public hearing, we know exactly what the taxable value is going to be, and we would adjust the 402 property taxes line item to more closely approximate what we're going to get for property taxes for the general fund. Anybody else have any other questions on general fund revenue? Or comments?
I did not.
Moving to township board expenditures. What are the comments there? I have a few.
I don't see anywhere that the state has passed a 72-hour sick day gratis period here. What happened to Family Leave Act?
Well, that got challenged, the new, what is it, Estimated Sick Time Act or something, ESTA, that got challenged somehow, and that did not go into effect. The Medical Leave Act is still in force, and in fact, what I read on it was that they feel it's gonna be challenged. I don't think we're gonna need to worry about it in this budget, to tell you the truth. I think the legal challenge is gonna take it past the end of this fiscal year that we're budgeting for.
So
I don't have that right in front of me, but there was.
Well, I'm looking
something
up
that came
Michigan
through the
right now.
MTA or something, or no, it was one of the legal places that we get bulletins from. I know it came into my email.
No,
Can't remember what it was.
there was something that came from MTA. They were reporting that it did not pass. It was being held up. Right. So we don't have a final ruling yet on that 72-hour thing. And it actually, what they did was, and I don't have my notes with me, I brought it from the last time when we discussed the 72 hours and having to build that time and those dollars in at our last budget meeting. I brought that because what they did was like a line item veto. And they pulled out the 72-hour thing, but left other portions of the bill in. So who's to say if they've changed their mind again?
Well, here's what Michigan says, right? Here's what the state of Michigan does right now, supposedly. If you have more than 50 employees, well, it doesn't work for us. Employees who work at least 25 hours a week, who work at least 26 weeks per year for a job scheduled for at least 26 weeks and whose primary work location is in Michigan. They'll give you 1 hour for every 35 hours worked.
So that answers a question I had about what constitutes an employee, the 25 hours a week
And
or
50.
36 weeks. No.
1 hour for every 35 hours worked. Front loading is permitted annually and annual cap is 40 hours.
So they've got to work 25 hours a week
No, she said,
to
Yeah.
qualify as an employee.
right, but
For
what she
the
just read
50.
wasn't about the qualification of
know.
employee, it was
I
about
know.
the accrual rate.
So the rule of thumb for the 72-hour was you had to have 50 employees.
Mhm.
And the employees have to work 20 to qualify as one of the 50, you have to work 25 hours a week. And what was the other thing?
Who work at least 26 weeks per year for a job scheduled for at least 26 weeks and whose primary work location is in Michigan.
Okay, so we don't meet that 50.
Nope.
I went through and I listed out, that's in my other paperwork, I listed out all our employees.
Mhm.
I mean, park, I went with park, I went with
Right.
fire, here in the town hall, all the boards
Yeah,
and the commissions. And we don't have, according to these, we do not have 50. So that is not a consideration.
So our wages have to be relooked at. Is that what he put in here for that? Is that why the increase?
I think Ron was trying to cover us in case that we did fall within that 50.
well, he's got the 6% over there, so I don't know.
I think the 6% has to do with wage increase, not
Right. But,
the 72-hour thing.
right, exactly, but what I'm saying is, it's not indicated on here as it has been sometimes in the past. How many meetings, because the township board 702, that's where the 2 trustees get paid out of.
Right.
And so we know that we needed to do more. We've had a lot of extra meetings and whatnot like that. And then the 6%, we haven't been provided with, the salary, an adjusted salary wage schedule. So does that mean the trustees are going to $212 a meeting, or, it sounds like there's going to be a 6% across the board increase budgeted for.
But I will say this, Cheryl, after speaking with Ron, that plus 6% that's here is on top of the 3%. So it's a 9% he's talking about.
Well, but remember, the
3%.
trustees and the board, we haven't gotten 3%.
No, what
A
he
year.
was saying is that the graded wage scale, we always do a 3% increase every
Right.
year.
Yeah,
That plus 6 is on top of that.
right.
So when we look at the graded wage scale, we're gonna only increase it by the 3%, because that 6%
No, not,
is
not,
additional.
I have comments on that. When we
No?
get to the graded wage
Okay.
scale, but the trustees aren't on the graded wage scale. They're on the salary wage schedule. And so right now, they're paid $200 per meeting.
Right.
So is the 9%, if you say it's 9%, then that would be 200 times 9, that would be what, $18?
Mhm.
So are we going to kind of round it off 220 per meeting? I mean, I guess I don't know, because that information is not in here. And we don't know how many meetings he's accounting for, but certainly, so it's 6 plus 3%, you're thinking.
Yes.
Okay, so, and that's probably enough, to cover, I guess, that's probably enough to cover additional meetings and whatnot. Dropping down to 703, I would note that Ron is not showing the budget amendments in here that were, approved by the board. When was it? In January? I think, yeah, in January. So that third column over, that would be the amended budget column. He's not showing the budget amendments for 703, 715, and 716.
He does have a question on what is paid out of 703.
Yeah, and what's paid out of 703 is the Zoom facilitator. The marijuana subcommittee was paid out of there, except for Bob. Bob was paid out of, was Bob paid out of there? I can't remember. I
Why
looked
would you
back. I
pay
think it
Bob out
was.
of there? It would be part of the cost.
Yeah, he probably was. My only question is, he invoiced his amount as opposed to us having a pay sheet for it. But so anyways, we know we got the Zoom facilitator and the, any subcommittees.
That the board puts together.
That the board, yes, any board subcommittees, not a planning commission subcommittee or something like that. So anyways, all I know is that we did a budget amendment. I don't have that paperwork in front of me. And to hopefully cover through the rest of the year. So I'm thinking that went to like, I don't want to say, I think it went to like 8,000 or something. I think we put another 5 in there or something like that. I can't remember now. I can bring that to
In
the next.
703.
In 703, and then of course the 715 and 716 went up too.
Sure.
So
this,
but I don't think the 3,200 is gonna get it. Because simply based on the fact that even before we had, well, we did have the marijuana subcommittee started in February of 22, I believe. So we had a couple months of that would be in the prior, the actual column, the first column, the 4329. But even that wouldn't have accounted for more than $200-300. So, if we're spending 4329 in the year before, I don't see how we can drop down. And then we went up a lot this year. I don't, because we've had a lot of special meetings,
right,
more meetings than what were budgeted for. So,
why don't we
Do
put
we
this
split
at,
that number? Do we?
yeah, I was gonna say, just put it at 6,000.
That's what I was gonna say.
That
but
way we're covered if it's over. We don't have to do a budget amendment. And we're covered if it's under, which could be anywhere between, because the year before was the 4,329.
Right.
And Cheryl's absolutely right. We've had a lot of special meetings this year,
Yeah, we have.
which is going to increase both the costs in 702 and 703.
Yep.
Increases
The next
cost.
one I dropped down to is audit and accounting services, and anybody chime in if they have something before that. I personally think it's ridiculous to put $14,000 in this auditing and accounting services line item. We paid a lot last year because we did not do a competitive bid on the auditing services. That's how that gets done.
Okay.
You put out, excuse me, I'm not done, Heidi. You put out an RFP or an RFQ and you put an ad in the paper and you let the market work, and you have auditing companies who provide you with their proposal, and then you choose one from them and decide probably even before that, whether you're going to have a 1-year contract or a 3-year contract or what. But I mean, it's ridiculous what we paid for auditing services last year. You can see that the year before, when we used Tobin, we paid $6,844. That's with filing the F-65 and everything. I just think it's a waste of taxpayer money to be spending that kind of money on the audit.
Well, I can tell you that, you know, being here for Tobin and Company and with this other company, I got no more days. I got no more interaction. I got no more questions. Actually, the questions I got was repeatedly, you're in the wrong department. I've told you, you need to get that stuff from the clerk's office. About 6 times from the same gentleman. I was not really that impressed with them. I mean, they brought the same number of people. Well, no, one
They
more.
brought a lot more people. They had 4 people here. We've only ever had 2 people.
Yeah, well, but the second day, that young man that kept asking the wrong questions to the wrong department was no longer here.
Oh, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't here that day.
But in review of that bill, there was almost $3,000, if not slightly higher, of charges that were because and I don't have that in front of me, so I'm going on my recollection. So I might be there were 2 components in there that drove at least $3,000 higher than where we expected it to be. The first component was the practice is for them to seek previous audit results and notes from the prior auditing firm. There was a lot of difficulty in terms of cooperation on Tobin's part, not providing that information to.
But Don, all
them.
they had to do is ask us. We had the written.
That's
We would
right.
have scanned it and sent it to them.
Yeah, that's right.
Again, I'm going by memory, Ardell. I believe that there were some things in there that weren't necessarily part of what we had. There was things that Tobin had within their notes and then there was that brouhaha kind of over the signing of it, and that went back and forth as a differential requirement. So I think those things are behind us, and so I think that the expense is at least $3,000 higher than what it.
Well, and I
Just believe
just
that
comment that wasn't 3,000. It was an additional 2,000 that
2,000.
they billed that had to
Okay.
be brought before the board because, you know, we had to get approval for that. And also, I would just tell you, I don't know why they were contacting Tobin at all. I don't know that they are entitled to Tobin's notes. They can look back on the audit.
actually you can get it from the state website, our audits.
Yeah, well, you get the F-65
been
from the state website.
Right.
And they could have had a copy of our audit and probably did have a copy of our prior audit. They never asked me for it. I would have gladly provided it to them. So I didn't even agree with that charge, and I believe I voted no on paying the extra $2,000. That was, as far as I'm concerned, but still. Even with the 2,000, that was more than what they said they would do it for. And you know, when you contract to do something for a certain price, then you do it for that price. And that's why I voted no on the additional money, because I don't care what they had to do to get the audit done. I don't care how much time they had to spend on it. They said they were going to do it for that price, and that's what you do.
But even at that price, it was $10,000.
yeah, that's right. It was 50% more.
For my whole, I don't care who does the audit. I care that we do an RFP to get quotes in from a variety of
Right.
different people, and we pick who we're gonna go with.
Right,
We don't just pick one vendor.
right.
That seems.
By one person on the
Everything
board.
that we talk about saving money, that just flies in the face of it.
So what number do you,
Is IRS money in here too? Cause we're still not done fighting IRS. Do we put some money in there for the IRS?
That's not in the audit section though.
Where would that go?
Well, it says audit and accounting.
It says audit
so-
and accounting. We're being audited. Would we put it
We,
in there?
and I would say, I think $475 of that money is Larry Wilson.
Oh.
So.
So now we
consulting
paid
him.
Larry Wilson almost $1,000.
400.
We haven't paid Larry Wilson any more money, but he hasn't billed us anything more for the appeal that he's pursuing on that. So I do expect to get a bill at that point.
well,
But
then
that-
that would, I mean, is that, if that's where that goes, I mean. The fine still pending is what, 5,000, 5,300?
no, it's not that much. No, we're talking
was
about
400.
here,
How's-
no fine would be paid out of this line item that
Okay,
we're
that,
talking
well,
about.
I thought that's what you just answered
Right.
yes to her.
No, no,
Oh, just Larry Wilson.
Larry
Got
Wilson's
it.
fee.
Got it,
Cost
Because
of
it's
the account.
audit and accounting,
got it.
right,
Okay.
that's, so you can
See.
put $500 in for that. I mean, I don't expect it to be more than that, but I haven't gotten anything from him, so I don't know what it's going to be.
But so far we've
But-
paid him for $170.
Whatever we do here today, as far as the number for 802, doesn't mean that we've agreed to use the same auditor. That's a different process.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
So we can't automatically assume, I guess, that we're going to continue using the auditors that we've used.
And I will let everybody know that a week or two ago, Zach from Baird emailed me and wanted to set up the audit for this year, and I was blindsided by that. Because first of all, we don't usually schedule it this early. Now, I will tell you, I agreed with him that September is an absolutely horrible month to do an audit in. And I hope that never happens again. The audit needs to be when it's convenient for Della and I, probably in July. After Della's gotten her taxes out, hopefully I'm not having an August election in there here. So we normally do it somewhere in July. We don't want to wait till September. That is a very hurried pace, especially for the auditors. We have all the information to give them, but they have to come here and look at it and all that. So in my opinion, we shouldn't be spending over $10,000 at the absolute most for an auditor for our annual financial audit. And maybe that even includes the $500 that I think we're going to get billed by Larry Wilson.
So should we
And also, I just want to, I'm sorry, I got a little off track there. So Zach, I responded to him and said, where did you get the notion that you're going to be the auditor this year? And he basically said, well, we just usually schedule them, you know, this early. And I said, well, I get that, but I don't have anything. The board hasn't decided who the auditor is going to be this year. So I'm sorry, but we can't schedule anything with you.
So should,
So-
in light of the fact that we feel that the number is 2,000, I'll certainly go with that, because I thought 3 would, should we just tap that number back from 14 to 12 and see where this goes?
That's still way higher than we've ever paid
What do you
to
think?
get.
Well, what do you
This is
think?
a small township.
So.
And technically, we're not even supposed to do one every year if we don't want to. We can do it every other year.
And I'm for doing it I'm for doing it every year. I don't mind that at all. I don't want to have to go back and pull out 2 years worth of records. But I think that certainly doesn't need to be any higher than like 10.5. Would be my number. I mean, 11 at the absolute outside.
So 11?
That's what I would suggest
Okay.
we use for that number. And
All right.
here again, we see what the RFPs should be going out fairly soon. I'm sure somebody can pull an RFP template for auditors, probably off the MTA website or other websites. And you know, and the board just approves it and we get the ad placed and we see what comes in.
You want to do that, Cheryl?
Prepare the RFP.
Yeah, pull it off the MTA website.
Well, I'll look for a template, but I'm not gonna tell you that I'm gonna finish it up.
$8.17 cleanup day services. Last year, we used a completely different vendor than we have used in quite a while. We used somebody that did roll off containers versus trucks. I know we saved probably about $3,000, but I gotta tell you, I'm not a fan. It
You weren't a
was,
fan of it?
no, it was a difficult day. Would you agree?
You said, do you think that was why the kind of the field got torn up?
Oh, absolutely. The containers there and then the equipment to tamp down the trash within the containers and then the removal of the containers because we are sitting in a grassy area.
Mhm.
Now, they did go back and they fixed it. And I haven't heard anything from the school that it was not fixed to their satisfaction. So they went back, they fixed
So
the
that-
ground, they seeded.
And what vendor did you use for this?
Bay Area.
Bay Area
So-
disposal.
If we were paying.
I mean, they were very courteous, but it was not as streamlined and,
Because of those reasons, you think the $14,000 is a better number? If we go
no,
back?
I don't, I
Go
think
back.
14,000 is high.
But aren't we gonna be stuck with American Waste? I mean, how many vendors are there out there? Area Waste got bought by American Waste. We
This
had
is
when they were doing
supposedly
it was
recycled
awesome.
material, correct?
No,
Garbage too?
this is, have you ever been to a plant?
Yes.
Then
So
you know
it's
what's
tires,
coming in.
garbage.
Tires is separate. I would, if it's still open, I'm not sure it's still open, I'd like to do the scrap tire grant again. Because that really helps our citizens and we get rid of a lot of tires that end up on back roads and such. Or piled next to garages for years.
Are you volunteering to do that?
I've done that in the past.
Okay.
I'm gonna look to see if it's still open. I can't remember if it's still open or not.
This is really I appreciate you doing this. This is a really great service for the community.
It is a
it's-
good service for the
so,
community
thank you.
and I'm just hopeful that someday when I'm no longer here, one of the board members pick up on it and do it. Organizing the vendors to come in and the fire department being there, the ambulance service being there. It's quite an event for the people when they come and they bring their kids and it's a good community outreach.
Yeah.
But I don't think 14,000.
What would you recommend?
Let's go with 12.
We paid 11.8 in the previous year. And was that Area Waste? I don't remember now.
The only problem is the cost of garbage, the cost of everything has gone up. I mean, even your garbage bags are almost $4 for a red bag. So I know it's like a wash. We come get the garbage and we're taking it off your hands. We might give you a little bit back with some grants and stuff, but there's still a cost. You don't want to up that cost just because of the way inflation is right now. You didn't even go up Okay.
I didn't even want.
You wanna bring in like you said, go 12 grand. Okay, that's not even covering inflation costs of what we paid. Because we paid 11,835.
I don't really care, Heidi, one way or another. We can leave it at 14. I don't need to argue about it for a day. If you guys will leave it at 14, leave it at 14. If we spend less, we spend less.
I think. leave it
I
at
was just trying to
14,
be
just-
realistic with
Right.
what I see when I talk to the vendors. And I don't know, does the board want to go back to containers or do we want to go with trucks? I think that makes, you're probably gonna want me to get price quotes on those and that'll might make a difference. I don't know. Maybe Barry Area Disposal doesn't want to do it again.
I don't care whether we go with Bay Area or a different vendor. Just as long as it happens, because I've already had one inquiry about when it's going to be. And I do know that in my tenure on this board, we had 1 year that we didn't do it and we heard about it. People really look forward to cleanup day. It's the social event of the township.
They hang on to all that stuff all year round.
Yes, they do.
Well, why don't we leave it at 14, and if we get the scrap tire grant, maybe, you know, it comes into your point. Ardell, if it comes in lower, it comes in lower.
But it looks like you had to apply for that grant in October of 2022, at least from Eagle.
Ardell, yeah, I have to defer to you. I mean, you've run this event year after year after year. You know, if you feel comfortable with 12, you've got way more expertise at that. So
Okay.
where do you feel that number should be?
I'm just gonna leave it at 14. I don't, you know, we have so much to go through today that is the least amount that I want to argue about.
I don't want to argue about it, but I don't know if the grant's going to be available. That's. the
Well,
only
for your
thing.
information, Heidi, the grant, they did 2 grants the year before, 2 timetables. And if you could stay in this room instead of on your phone looking things up, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next one, pension plan. I'm not sure why that number is so inflated, the 17,660. I don't see where, you know, we have,
Oh, maybe he's considering the new park manager.
well,
to be
that would be
included, but
under
that's still a
park.
lot.
That's
That would
still
be
an
under
awful lot of
park.
money.
That would be in the park fund, not in the general
Mm-hmm.
fund.
You're right.
So I think that number can come way down.
Let's make a note on that, just for the rationale.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like
Because
to know why. it's
I don't-
so
you know,
high.
Is there something else out there that, and I can't imagine, it seems to me, I mean, he's did a nice job, you know, even though he's not here, giving us notes on that. That's a huge differential to your point.
Yeah, well, and I mean, the pension plan says that those elected officials who choose, I'm talking about just the township board now, because this is the township board department. We, you know, those township board officials who elect to take part in the pension plan, it's 10% of their annual salary. And so I just don't see those annual salaries shooting up that high, and we only have 2 board members in the plan. So I just can't see where that would be anywhere, but we can ask what the rationale is for that.
I just got a note to revisit this.
Yeah. Okay. When we get down to, does anybody have anything before 903 township newsletter expense? If not,
Does the
sorry.
880 education and training, does that take into account what somebody just mentioned to me in passing is in terms of the MTA?
Yes. Yes, that's where it would go if we
So-
paid any of the trustees, not the rest of us, because that goes under our own education and training line item, but this would be where board members, the two trustees, where it would be paid out of if they chose to sign up for conference, the annual conference or other things,
I think
other
that needs to be
things.
more than.
Yeah, I
So
think it's-
webinars that have been signed up for, those are under here, that had a cost.
Yeah,
That type of thing.
I mean, I typically look for webinars that don't cost anything. But
Right.
from the MTA standpoint, they're $50 to $75.
Yeah.
And I would say that, based on, and I find those extremely fulfilling, really,
Yeah,
really
exactly.
educational.
Yeah,
But I would like to do more of those in the coming 12 months. I would say,
Can we bump it to 1,000?
probably, let's just say 6 at $75 is what,
I'd say
what-
at least 1,200,
yeah.
because
yeah, me
just
too.
if Heidi, if you just want to go to the MTA annual down here and I would encourage you to do that because it's in our own backyard.
What's the registration for that?
I think it's $400
Or something.
roughly, if you don't
That's-
sign up for one of the extra things.
Right,
So I'm-
that's all, that's the whole thing.
So
Yeah.
I'm probably, well, yeah, I obviously don't need lodging, just
Right,
so,
exactly. right.
so if that's $500, and then I'm educational seminars, I'll probably run another $450.
Okay, so maybe higher than
Paid for
1,200.
my own.
So,
Well, you don't have to though.
I
Heidi.
understand that. I haven't put a bill in
I
for my
probably will
volunteer
run
hours in
MTA
years.
$1,000 just in training. And I plus Heidi, so I don't know what,
Want to do 12?
880 education and training, you want to make that 1,200?
yeah, I
Do you
think,
think?
yeah. Please.
Okay, yep. No, I think that's perfectly reasonable because.
And that's just him and I, right? That's nobody else, correct?
Because for instance, in the clerk department, I have 1,000, just myself.
Yeah.
And so, well, this is gonna cover 2 people, so, but typically trustees go to less things, but they
Yeah,
don't have to, they can go to anything they want. to.
I'm
I-
happy to see
get
that
more the
trustees
webinars.
are getting more training than previous trustees.
I hit the webinars pretty hard, and so.
Right. What
I have a
about?
full-time job of it.
What about township newsletter expense? Are you good with the 1,500, Della? You're kind of more,
I'm not sure why there's such a reduction.
yeah, that's a terrible reduction, I think, although maybe from the 1138. That's posted
Oh, yeah.
here, but the year before we had 2276. And
why-
that's where the postage goes for the newsletter. As well as, well, I think Lois's wages for newsletter get paid out of 101, 703, where Zoom facilitator gets paid out of.
And to your point, why is it even half of the previous year?
I think the previous year we may have sent out,
Yeah, we
Um,
did because of the pot. You did an extra indentment, I think.
No, we only ever do 3 newsletters a year. There's April, July, and December.
but I think we sent it out to the copy shop to be done because it was a larger
did
than
one
normal.
year.
It was the March one.
We did one year.
You mean
and-
multiple pages? You mean the number of
Yeah.
pages?
Yeah, I think we had like 12 pages. We had a lot in the newsletter. And so there was a cost to that because they copy it, they print, they fold it. and
Tab it, didn't they tab it too?
They may have
Put the
that
labels
time.
on.
So what's the expectation this year then?
Well, I haven't actually looked at the March newsletter that we do, March, April. It always comes due somewhere in between there. We don't have a hard date for that, but I haven't looked at it to see how much material we've gathered for it. How big is it going to be? We save a lot of money by actually printing them out of our copier. But
Really?
so, yeah, yeah.
That's insane.
So then maybe the $1,500 is good, but we should note the office expenses further down to, You don't,
You
you
know,
don't, you don't, so you don't put the copier paper in this one, do you? 903? Would you,
Yeah,
would you
it's
include that as the cost? of
expense.
these?
I mean, if we purchase paper for the newsletter, it goes in there.
Yeah.
So we
exactly.
probably
And
need
labels.
maybe
And
2,000.
labels and ink, a
And
portion of that.
postage is in here too,
Maybe
right?
punch it up to,
The whole cost is in this line.
Pretty
Well,
much.
postage only for April because July and December go out with the tax bills.
maybe punch that up to 2,000, Ella?
Yeah, I'd be comfortable.
Just as a note for everybody on line 940. That you should cross out postage meter, and this is only for the color
Copier.
copier lease, which is $83.60 a month, and you can see that we must have paid 10 months because it's $836. So that is only for the Sharp copier lease. And if you look at the very top of the next page, 941, that's where the postage meter rental and fees come out of.
And how are we on those contracts? Are we due to renew? Are we gonna get increased?
Nope, our copy machine is, we're still under lease with that. I don't know when that comes due, actually, because I haven't looked at it in a long time, and our postage machine is fairly new.
Okay, you haven't looked at the lease in a while, so this could be upcoming an increase.
Well, it's a multiple year agreement lease, so it's a set standard.
Anybody got anything else through 940?
No, I do not.
Okay, what about top of the next page, 941 through 964?
What's 955?
Grand Vision, that actually, we might be able to get rid of that line item, or call it something else. The Grand Vision was this thing that happened numerous years ago with trying to regulate land use, and it kind of
It
petered
was a
out.
project through Grand Traverse County. They got a couple $1 million and they had to spend it. And how
Maybe
they
we should-
spent it was used on a project called the Grand Vision, where they went out to all the communities to get outreach information.
Yep. Okay, so my question is, can we change that to the tip of the mitten, maybe? Because we might be incurring some costs for that down the road.
What would
and that-
those costs be?
I have no idea. It's a new program through the government. It's called Tip of the Mid. It's going green. It was just a suggestion.
Well, I mean, you know, you're always welcome to bring information to the board, Heidi, and
Well, you've had a presentation here in the last year and a half about the tip of the mitten. Has to do with the railroad coming back. So,
so that wasn't that the Mitten project? or
Yeah, the Mitten
something?
project,
That's
Tip of
not
the
Tip
Mitten.
of the Mitten then.
okay. Oh, whatever you want. but
I mean,
maybe could
unless
put
you
it
have
there.
some expenditures that you think the township board would want to make and some kind of idea about those.
All right, leave it open then, Cheryl. Just take the good, take the
I'm
grand
not
vision out.
Saying we wouldn't agree with it. I'm just saying we don't have any information at this point. Does anybody have anything else for 941 through 964?
Is your, sorry, is your number 956, is that your petty cash?
No, it's not.
What do you use those miscellaneous expenses for?
I'm not sure what we paid the $50 for. Therese could maybe look that up, but we've always had 500 in there. And the year before, we spent 232. I don't remember right now. I'd have to pull a detail on that line item to see what was actually
Fine,
spent
it's
out of
not
there.
that much to worry about. Continue.
Anybody got anything else before we move to supervisor?
Good.
I just have one thing on the 959 scrap tire. Ron's got $500 in there, but then what I want to bring attention to is the note that he's got. We always have this expense. It's important to understand that those expenses are offset by what we charge the citizens when
Right.
they drop tires off. There's
Yeah.
a charge to drop the tires off.
Yeah, isn't,
Unless we have that scrap tire
But it
revenue.
Award.
wasn't there, but though, wasn't that tied to my recollection on that? And again, I was on the other side of the table last year, but my recollection was is we were having some issues with at the recycling bins, people dropping tires. That
No.
wasn't
No.
it.
Like, if you noticed the year before, they've got 2,000 there. Because I had this crap tire grant and it was for 2,000. And how this reporting is done is you have to report, this is income coming in. But then farther down, you're gonna see an expense for the 2,000. We can't just wipe that account out. So that's why he's got that 500 there, is he's expecting us to get money in, but we expense it out
I see.
farther down.
Okay,
I just wanted to explain the note for people.
thank you.
I thought we had a scrap tire revenue line item, Della.
I thought we did too. I thought it was like $2,000.
I'm not seeing that on here. In last year's budget, didn't we have that somewhere though?
I thought we did. Because either that or we put it in with the cleanup day, which I didn't think we did.
No, I'm talking about the revenue we get,
Right, I'm looking
because
up
we have
there.
to account for that in revenues. We must have put it under other revenues. That's what we did. We put it under other. Because
Yeah,
last
two-
year we
Yeah, there
got
it is.
2,000.
Yep,
Yeah.
So other revenues is the scrap tire revenue.
Yep.
Just make a note of that.
You could still have costs, because I'm reading some of the grants right now. You could still have costs on the tires.
mhm.
Could still have a $3 per tire charge,
Okay.
but then it goes into cubic yards, so you save some money.
So, under the supervisor, I think we should wait until, can we set this aside until Ron's here? So we
Yep.
can talk about his choices?
Yeah, I think
That's
that's
fair.
appropriate. I wouldn't want to do that without you or Cheryl acting.
And I would just make a comment, though, I'm not sure where Ron, in his note here is saying the deputy supervisor is gonna be get paid at the additional activity compensation rate. That's not true. The deputy supervisors fall on the graded wage scale. Just like, and I have, this was our wage scale that we adopted last year on 3/21/2022. And it's deputy clerk, this is under grade 5, deputy clerk, deputy treasurer, and deputy treasurer. So this is where the wage would be determined on here. Not through the additional activities compensation. I took and added 6% to the, remember last year, the starting wage in year 1 was $14.30. And I added 6% to that because of course we have the 3% every year already shown. And that would make the deputy supervisor, treasurer, and clerk starting wage $15.16 an hour. And I did this so that I could calculate what my deputies' wages should be for this next fiscal year. But I can give a copy of this to you guys, but and remember last year we went out, this used to be a 10-year scale and we went out 16 years because we had rangers that had, last year was their 16th year in the park. So anyways, it's all laid out on here and you guys, I can give you a copy of this or you, I'm sorry.
Could I get a cut? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give everybody a copy of
you.
this. And I haven't put the park ranger, even though we've already done park, I haven't put that on here. I just, at this point, was only concerned about the deputy wages. But yeah, so I agree, Ron should be here to weigh in on that.
Let's move to elections then.
Okay, under elections, I would make a comment also that the budget amendments that I brought for elections are not shown on this document. The first one, everybody got my clerk's report in the last packet, I think, talking about this 9 days of early voting, which is going to absolutely blow election budgets all over the state.
Yeah, I don't think the people, when they voted for this,
No.
knew how much money it was gonna cost them
Oh,
in taxes.
They had no idea. So that 9 days of early voting, Ron's got a figure in here of 30,200. I say we just leave that in there. I'm not exactly sure if that'll be enough or not.
Is
But
it close?
in this, well, let me finish. In this fiscal year that we're budgeting for, we're not going to have a May election. We are likely, that's for certain already because the deadline passed for that. We are likely not going to have an August or November election. And if we do, it'll be a local, meaning township and or county. The county had 4 things on the ballot in November last year. I kind of doubt if they're going to be putting anything on the ballot. I don't know that we are. But these, the 9 days of early voting does not apply to local elections. So the only one we really have to worry about is the presidential primary, which is going to be the 4th Tuesday of February in 2024. That's really the only federal and or state election that we're going to have, I believe, in this fiscal year. So, that might even be high.
As
But
long as we're close.
here again, I think I said an additional in my clerk's report, I think I said an additional $4,800, not including taxes, not including deputy clerk wages. So, and we spent 12,452 in this fiscal year and had 10 budgeted. I mean, probably 25 would be enough. I think we could back it down to 25 easily. And we weren't, and I
Does that
think we're
include if you
still,
had one local election possibly?
yeah, I believe so, yeah.
And I think the reason why Ron's was higher is because he's still including in that plus 72
72
hours.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
And we know that's on the back burner by the state.
so what was
Well,
that
the
number?
72 hours of early voting, you mean?
No,
No.
72 hours of sick time.
Oh, yeah, no, that doesn't apply to election workers.
So what amount did you say?
I said, make it 25. On the office supplies and expense, 727, I'd like to make that 7,000. Here again, this doesn't show the budget amendment, but you can see we had to spend 6668. Certainly I guess, now that I think of it, the number of elections we're gonna have, we could probably get by with 5,000.
Yeah,
for
but
that.
Cheryl, when you think about all the new regulations they're gonna have.
Yeah, they're gonna be
They're gonna
nickel
be
and
Well,
diming
but
us to
that's
death.
not gonna change, that we have to pay for ballot programming through the county and we have to pay for ballots to be printed and we order instructions and stuff like that. That's not, we have to do that anyways.
I saw in the MTA update that they gave about this, all these new rules that there's something going through right now where they're trying to get a postmark permit
Yeah,
where you can, for right now, you're gonna have to use, if you have an election, the
right.
county's prepaid permit, right?
No, we just put the postage on here.
Because they talked about being allowed to use your county's prepaid.
We've
They're
never
gonna
done that.
allow
Didn't even
that.
know they had it.
Well, they would just
have it.
bill that back to us though.
They would
wouldn't
bill it
Yeah,
back
they
to
would bill
us.
it back to us.
It was, so
yeah.
we put that,
But the point is that you only get paid for the ones that actually go through the mail
Hmm.
instead of,
Well,
but see, they've said that, we're gonna have to send, that we've got to pay for postage for them to return
The ballot.
the application and the ballot. So what that means is we're gonna have to put a return envelope in the application envelope too, so that they have an envelope with that's the only way we can get the postage on it,
right.
is to have an envelope in there, so there is going to be more of that. But I think for this year, I think 5,000 would be plenty. I just think 5,000 will be enough.
All right.
On the software support, I will supply a number for that. We do have to start paying for software support this year. We did not have to pay that for the first 5 years of this new equipment that we got in 2017, but we are gonna have to start paying that, and I will supply a number for that.
Revisit.
Yeah, yeah. And then, and we've got we've got 4 machines. We've got 2 tabulators and 2 express votes that we'll have to start paying software support on. These other ones, mileage and the meal, lodging, and the education and training and publishing, I don't have a problem with those numbers.
What about the postage?
Where's postage?
$728.
Well, Ron put $2,500. I mean, in light of the fact that we're only gonna have one election that we have to comply with that with, I think.
And this
that's-
1,800 reflects how many elections?
That would be, well, we had May, August, and November.
But the one difference this year, though, even though there's only one election, to your point earlier, you're gonna have to put a return envelope in on both the
Yeah.
application and that.
Right,
So-
right.
So is the 25.
And on the return envelope for the ballot. too.
Yes, right.
Yeah, and the postage rates. have
And
to-
hopefully they work out being able to use the permit
Yeah,
instead of having to
right.
put,
Because then
A
you don't,
stamp,
unless it's used, then you don't get charged.
right, yeah. But I'm happy with that at 2,500 and
I'm
like I
surprised
say,
they didn't go to one location voting because we have all these little townships.
well, there's gonna be some townships that are gonna have a real hard time. Union Township just south of us doesn't have indoor plumbing. They don't have a heating system in their building.
Well, that's what
They
I'm
go
saying.
and
So
build
we
a
used to use
fire
a
the
grocery
night
store.
before, you know, and who knows? Well, the proposal 22.2 does say that, more than that, more than one municipality can vote in a precinct. So,
You
but we'll have to see what they say about what sizes that applies to and stuff like that, I mean, we're over 2,400 voters now. Are we somebody that can combine with another jurisdiction and have, share costs of having 9 days of early voting, either at their place or our place, or a combination of the two?
because the 9
Um,
days of early voting means you have to staff that. It
Yeah,
has to be open and you have to secure it,
Yeah, exactly.
which takes staff.
Yeah. So, and our, election equipment representative has said that, the machines can be programmed to accept ballots from more than one jurisdiction. So we'll be able to do that. Yeah. But now at the top of the next line, that's the last one for elections capital expenditure. I want to put that 600 back in there. Ron took it out, but I was going to buy this year a new laptop for elections right now, and we are going to need to do that in this next fiscal year for sure. The main laptop that we're using, was here when I got here in 2012. And I've had some upgrades done to it, but it's just getting to the point I don't trust it as much. And then also, I'm not asking for a new clerk laptop, but when we do the dual e-poll book, this laptop here becomes the second laptop to do dual e-poll book. But we do need one. So I'm not asking to replace both of them, but we do need one new laptop, something with a newer version.
Can you get the laptop you need for $600?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, this is only comes out during elections.
Okay, okay, very well.
Other than that, it's in a bag.
Okay.
So I'll probably buy something in the maybe $400
Fine.
range. It typically, it doesn't even have Word on it. It doesn't have Adobe. It doesn't have anything. It's just to run the e-poll book.
Okay.
So if I could put that $600 back in there, I think that would be good. Anybody got any other questions on elections? Moving to assessor. Anybody got any comments there? I think that base wage of the 2640, I think that can go back to 1200 unless we're gonna change. The
But it's in the
assessor's employment
contract.
It's in the employment contract, right? That she
Yeah,
gets
we-
$100 a month.
Yeah, he put the
Sick days on there too.
72 hours of sick pay
Right.
in there, and so.
So I think that can go back to the 1200. You know, obviously 715 and 716 will change based on
Yeah,
that,
'cause
but
those are
I'm not gonna do
formula-driven.
those calculations right now. And the postage, I think, is light. While it shows 948 for this year, we have only been billed estimated postages for the assessment change notices that I think are about to go out.
And postage rates went up.
And postage rates went up, and also after they get them all done, we get billed for the small balance of the postage, but for also their setup and everything on that, so
So the forecast of $1,300 is probably pretty accurate. The question becomes is there less mailing in 2023, 2024 that would tap that down to 800 is,
No,
it
That's
doesn't,
more
Parcels added.
yeah, I
yeah,
mean, so.
right.
I don't understand how, why that number.
I would think that number's, we're
Off.
probably gonna be on mark at the 1,300 or close to it. And
12 or 13, I
Yeah.
think.
Let's do 12.
I don't have any other questions on that. I assume Ron used the contract price that goes up, every year
Yeah.
on Don's contract for 807.
yeah, that's driven by,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions on attorney?
I'd bump that by 20, my opinion. Cause we don't know how much the costs were gonna occur in this land division thing. But I'm just one person.
I'm happy with 60.
I'm happy with the
but-
60 because
Yeah.
it's just such an unknown.
Right. Everybody ready to move on to clerk?
I am.
Okay, so clerk, as I mentioned, one of the reasons I did the 6% increase in the deputies on the graded wage scale was to determine what Teresa's hourly rate is going to be. And she will be moving to year 11 on the scale here. And when you add the 6%, the inflation, and then of course, each of these years goes up 3%. Isn't that how I should do that? I think that's how I should do that, because we already have the 3% built into this document. So that comes to $20.37 an hour. And
What's
then
20.
2037.
Or is that with the 6%?
That's taking the 6% and adding it to year one, and then adding 3% each year. For the automatic 3%, because this goes up. The increases shown are automatic and are not merit-based, so everything on here goes up 3% a year automatically.
Right, so the starting in year one goes in 3. And then.
No,
explain
the
to me-
starting year one went up 6.
This is awesome.
Because it looks like
6% every
everybody's
year.
getting 6%, so I mean, we have to figure that into all of these
Maybe we
positions.
could get a copy of that, Cheryl.
Do you want to get it right now?
Yes, please.
Would you mind, Lois, making some copies?
Thank you.
Thank you. And so just while Lois is doing that, also I see Ron has a note here, note 7. Base wage plus 6% plus 72 hours of sick time, 300 hours of time has been removed due to clerks' reduced duties. No, that's not happening. I have no plans to reduce my deputy's hours. I base her hours on 20 hours a week times 50 weeks of the year, because she always takes at least 2 weeks off. So that's 1,000 hours times the $20.37. That line item should be $20,370. Just because I said I would no longer do FOIA, board packets, or park, which doesn't affect this. Doesn't mean I don't still need a deputy, part-time. I mean, if I want to, I can have a full-time deputy. I choose not to have a full-time deputy. Many townships do have a full-time deputy, but I feel I can get by with the 20 hours a week. Actually, it's usually a little bit less than that, but
So-
certainly, I'm not willing to, reduce my deputies, 20 hours a week.
What was that number you had?
The 20,370,
Yes. what-
that's 1,000 hours times $20.37 an hour. Which is what
2030?
I count, 2037, which is what I have calculated the 11-year rate is for deputies. Because Treese, next month will have completed 10 years with the township and will be in her 11th year of employment with the township.
Okay, so she doesn't do FOIAs.
We
That-
don't
that's
do-
still
we
your
don't
job.
do FOIAs.
That you don't do FOIAs anymore, but she never did. Is
She
my
did
point.
help out with it. Yeah, she did help out with pulling records and stuff like that. Yeah. But that
The
doesn't
board
matter. We have
packet,
plenty of-
you spend an awful lot of time doing board packets.
Mhm.
She doesn't do those.
No,
She never
I
did.
never asked her to.
And as far as the park, she did some things with the park, only with deposits.
The daily reports. Yeah.
Yeah, so that
Thank you,
was,
Lois.
so
So
I
I've
guess
got
what I'm
some
getting at,
here.
Cheryl, is
Shoot.
in consideration of this reduction of
Thanks, Lois. Oh, you got made it big enough so you don't need glasses. Awesome.
300 hours. Thank you.
It's not up to the board to decide how many hours my deputy works. The
Right.
board has no authority over any of the deputies in the township. And the persons whose department the deputy is under, sets their hours. And the board has no say in that. The board doesn't supervise deputies. The only thing the board does is set the wage when the deputy is first hired. After that, it's controlled by the graded wage schedule that's been in effect since before I took office here.
6%.
The deputies are not eligible, of course, for the pension fund. Well, they might be if they worked full time. No, I don't think. Would they? Della? I can't remember about that now. No, it's
They
elected
don't qualify
officials.
because they're not full-time.
Yeah.
They gotta work. a
Well, if
certain
they
number.
were full-time though, they would be
Right.
eligible for it, but Treese is not full-time. So then that's gonna change the 715 and 716 numbers. Does anybody have any more comments on that?
This is a great part-time job, people. Sign up.
So down to dues and memberships, I think that went up to $75 this year, so I want to leave that at 150. Or I guess it was 120, I want to make it 150. And then
Which
some,
one was that?
that was 840 dues and memberships, I want to make that 150. It's just, we both belong to the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks, that's the only membership we have. And then I don't have anything until we get down to 901 publishing. And it looks like Ron has backed that off to 1,000, but I can tell you publishing isn't getting any cheaper, and that needs to be at 1,500. I mean, just publishing a little synopsis is $100. And the ones for a regular meeting are close to $150. So if you got 12 regular meetings. Wait a minute, I got a calculator over here.
This
I
publishing.
mean, you got 1,800 just for the regular meetings if they have as many business items on them as we've been having. That's 1,800 just for the regular meetings.
So
So
you
I'm
need more
thinking
than,
that's gonna need to go up more yet.
so that includes publishing the meeting and the synopsis, correct?
Well, that's publishing the synopsis of the meeting.
So publishing that we have a meeting. Noticing,
That's not the noticing. No, that is just covered under the clerk's salary. So yeah, I'm gonna change that because that's 1,800. I'm gonna guess, let's see, so on a small meeting. So let's say you have 2 of those a month. That's 24. Let's just call it $80 on those. That's 1,920 plus 1,800, that comes to 3,720. So I would guess, unless we're gonna start having a lot less meetings, special meetings, I would say that needs to be about $3,500 in publishing. Should probably cover that. Also, just one comment for Ron. I don't know if he's listening, but the dark green coloring, maybe we could get that lighter because I can't read the totals. With the dark green
Really hard.
highlighting. If it was a lighter shade of green, I think it'd be easier, but. Anybody have any other comments, questions about the clerk's budget?
When you put 901 publishing, is that to publish the minutes in the paper, or we are not gonna do that?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just said
that's the
that.
Okay, just checking.
That's
just
the
checking,
synopsis.
just
No,
checking.
we're doing that. Moving on to Board of Review. So I think Ron, apparently a 6% raise for Board of Review. Is that what everybody's
Yeah, that's what I
looking
said.
at? Okay, so. Find myself in the wage schedule. So Board of Review gets paid off the salary wage schedule, which I didn't make copies for everybody. But Board of Review. Here's it. Oh, Board of Review. They've been paid $70 a meeting. Or $15 an hour, which is what they get when they have March Board of Review, and it's 2 days of 6-hour meetings, and then plus their organizational meeting. Well, I think that's at 70. But so are you taking it that Board of Review would go 70 plus 6% would be 74.20? Or when, I mean, I would suggest if we're gonna do that, we just go to 75.
I would assume there's some rounding and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think that's 75 a meeting? And then the 15 an hour plus 6% would be, I think I did that wrong, 15 plus 6%. That'd be 1590. So do you think that he's meaning that that's going to 16?
So.
That
let's see.
the daily rate is gonna go to, what'd I say, 75? And then the hourly to 16?
There's,
Would you like copies of that?
Yeah, do you want to make them copies? Now, I didn't, this is what was adopted. I haven't put any, well, I did put some election inspector stuff on there, which we didn't actually talk about that specifically. But yeah, thank you, Russ. There's color on there.
So I have a quick question. I looked through my budget paperwork from last year. And for some reason, I X'd out the 70 and I have 80 written in black, but I have no comments. Did
We
we
didn't
just,
adopt it. Everybody decided not to. give
that's what I thought.
Anything to Board of Review.
So, okay, you didn't give it to like everybody, so.
You're gonna get the sheet that's gonna show you what we adopted.
So
It
Forget
didn't
it, Cheryl,
change.
that wasn't even my
I can't,
question.
it doesn't seem to make sense in the, if there's 9 meetings. So at $75 is $675. That's per one person. And then 36 hours comes to at the $16, and we rounded up from the $15.90. That comes to $576.
Per person.
Mhm.
The
Yeah,
how Board of Review operates is that they have meetings in March is when they do the most of their work.
right.
And they have an organizational meeting that's usually not more than an hour and a half or two. And thank you. So that would be at 75. If you paid 3 people for that, that'd be what, 225?
Yep.
Okay, that's takes care of their organizational. Then they have the 2 6-hour meetings. And so that's when they get paid
That'd
the
be
hourly wage.
$16 now times.
So 16 times 6, it would be 96 per person. So 96 times 3 is 288. So you'd have, the 288 plus 288 because the 2 meetings. And then in July, they have a meeting. I can't remember how long that one is. That's a couple hours there. Okay, so they would get paid like 150 a piece for that. No,
No.
yeah, 150 a piece. No, they wouldn't. They would get paid 75 a piece for that.
Yeah.
So that'd be another 225. And then I think the same in December, isn't it, Lois? About a couple hour meeting in December. So another 225. So was anybody adding that up? I can. 225 plus,
5 plus 480 or almost 500. I guess.
for the 2 meetings. And then another 225 and another 225. That gets you to 1675.
Yeah, I think he's low there. Just
I do too. That's Board of Review. Do we want to put that at like 1700?
yeah, that's where I think we.
Okay. And then the recording secretary. They don't also get paid for, Lois doesn't also get paid for, well, no, Ron doesn't get paid as a recording secretary.
Right.
Okay, so you got the Zoom facilitator there. So,
And he says the description there is Zoom facilitator covered by the recording secretary. So
That's, yeah. that's
oh,
what the
he's saying
description
he's
is.
going to be the Zoom facilitator too for Board of Review?
are you doing board review currently?
Yeah.
I get it,
Yeah.
I don't do the actual 6-hour meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that.
So
Ron-
she gets the link, shares it, downloads it,
Yeah.
for future.
Yeah, but she's not there for
saving.
6 hours. Then I think Ron is administering the Zoom recording from there.
Okay, but Lois needs to be paid something for generating the link. Usually, don't you get like an hour, Lois, for downloading or generating the link, sharing the link, downloading the audio, video? Don't you usually get? Yeah. So so that would be at Lois's hourly wage. Which here again, I can't remember what year you're in, Lois. But you got 21 this year, so you were in 14, so that means you would move to year 15. And I have that calculated, subject to everybody else's checking my calculations, at 2293. So I think you've got, what'd we say, 3 meetings in March, July, December, that's 5 meetings times basically $23. $115. You see where I'm going with that, Don? Or is Ron gonna do that? I mean, is he gonna do all that stuff
Let's
too?
let's revisit that because
Okay.
because he has that note there. I think we just have to,
So what number did we decide? 702 again?
1700.
Thank you.
So we're gonna revisit that.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving to the next page. So 715, 716, they're gonna change.
Mhm.
Looks like he left everything else the same,
Yeah,
which I think is fine.
I don't have any issues.
Moving to treasurer.
Yeah. The 702 number, I don't have that number.
What do you have?
If he is going from the 3% annual, then the 6% added, that's a 9%. I added straight 9% to it. And I did the recalculations for supervisor, clerk, and treasurer. Treasurer should be 30,067.61.
30,000, what? 7,
30,067.61.
thank you.
And
this is
that
at
should be the
9%.
same. That's straight 9%. Ron told me he calculated it by doing a 3%, then he added 6%. I just, somewhere in the calculations, it came out different.
Now, see, the way he calculated mine was just a straight 6%.
Well, I'm requesting
And
the
his,
annual 3% plus 6%. So that's the number I'm looking for. And it would be the same for the supervisor, and it would be different for the clerk. It's a slightly higher number.
Because you went 6 plus 3 or you went straight 9% and he went 6 plus 3.
Right. That was the conversation I had. Unless I misunderstood him, which I don't think I did. So that's what I'm saying. This board traditionally does not do cost of living every year for its elected officials. We do nothing basically. Once every 4 years, which I think is not right. Any other job you may have, even any other governmental job you might have, there's always a cost of living increase. And the 3%, yes, there is. The 3% is very minimal, and we know the cost of living increase right now is above 7%. So I don't know if you
what
guys.
did you come out with for clerk at the calculation?
30645.35.
And then you came out, this is at the 9%. For treasurer, you came out with $30,067.61.
Yes, and that would be the same also for the supervisor. And if we're looking at the salary and wage scale, For next year, the trustees would be 220 per meeting.
Yeah, I think, didn't we talk about that?
We did.
You rounded it.
Yeah, and you wanted to add the 3% there too.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 220.
Mhm. Let me go back up to supervisor.
Yeah, I do think, while the board for eons has only been raising their wages by 3% every 4 years, that is something that needs to change. Because as you say, the cost of inflation is just, we're all going backwards every year. And, so while, you know, and we have to think of other people that would want these jobs too when the positions change. The salary does matter to them, and while they do have the pension fund, currently there is no health insurance through the township, and that's a huge expense for people. I had to pay it myself for a long time privately until I got on Medicare. And even there's a cost to that, but it's lower. But anyways, it's a lot of people won't take a job without health insurance. Because they have to have it for their family. So
not cheap.
No, it's not.
we have to at least have the salary be something that is reacting to the market. And certainly, I'm pretty sure that Social Security recipients got 8.7% this year due to inflation. And so I think that the 9% really is not too far from that. It's barely over that amount, and you know, hopefully inflation isn't going to continue to be a big factor every year. Hopefully it's going to start coming down, and
We'll equal out somewhere.
but I do think the board is going to have to look at, you know, doing some kind of small salary adjustment every year, is at least every other year, and not waiting 4 years. It's been 3 years now. So
On 703. Is the
300 treasurer.
yeah, the 750 hours is fine. Ron and I agree on that. Current wage coming is 22.93.
Yeah.
Lois has been with me, well, since the beginning. He's got 18,851, but I think he also includes in there something about the 72-hour thing. But my numbers came up to 17,198. So I think
How many hours did you say, Dylan?
750. So I'm fine with what he's got there, or I can reduce it to 1,800.
So you're taking the 2293 times 750,
Mhm.
that comes out to 17,197.50, or leave it at the 18,851.
I'm proposing moving it to 18 straight.
Straight?
Oh, 18 straight, okay. And so that you've got a little cushion if you do more than, if
Yes,
she does more than 750 hours.
yep. Not all Lois's hours that she works for this township is on the treasurer's 703. For example, when she works on newsletters,
Yeah,
that gets broke out.
right.
So,
Yeah, so you're basically budgeting 15 hours a week for her.
mhm. So of course, 1715 or 715, 716, those are going to be adjusted.
Yeah,
Office supplies and expenses. Ron's got 1,500. You'll see the year before I spent 3,000. It's and I budgeted this year for 18. And even though that number is 589, that doesn't include some of the product that just came in.
You mean
The-
569?
569, thank you. That doesn't include some of the product that just came in.
right.
So it runs in a cycle. When I order envelopes, I have to order,
Grosses.
yeah.
Right, you gotta order like 10,000, right? You're
Yeah.
not ordering 5.
And when I order checks and when I order, whatever the office supplies is, and even the ink has went up. So I'm going to propose that goes back up to 1,800. Because everything has, all the costs have went up.
Which line item is that?
That is 727. Why did I take my glasses off to squint? That's what I did it for.
Della, can I back up to your 702? So you gave us the number 30,067.61. Would you round that to 30,068?
Yes. No, I don't know why I didn't do that before. I'm sorry.
What else you got there?
Good on postage.
I'm good on postage, even though it's went up. Use memberships is fine. The software is fine. Everything else looks good. No, I take it back.
Education and training.
Education and training. Last year I did more than what I thought I was going to do. I'm really happy that I got that additional training. I think the 1,000 is fine. Actually, I'm fine with both 865 and 880 because the annual convention is here. So
Where do you
there's,
see 865? Oh, I'm sorry, the line item. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said a number in there.
is here, so we don't have to look at any kind of lodging. And
Right.
that is the one that I had to expense money out for when I went to Lansing last year on it. So,
And I think Lois went to that too. So
Mhm.
remember, it's for both of you.
Yep.
As is the courts. So you're good with those numbers?
I'm good with the rest of the numbers, actually.
Okay. Ready to move on to Township Hall and Grounds?
Yep.
Anybody got any issues with those numbers? It looks like Ron has taken out 8,000 for anybody to do any maintenance around the Township Hall and Grounds. We haven't spent anything out of that. But we don't have a building and grounds person either.
Right.
So, we really, are kind of at the mercy of whoever we can find to do something.
And I let her dump her stuff at my fire pit last time. So that didn't cost you anything for disposal.
Well, this is repairs of the township building and grounds. For under 703.
The $8,000 was for hiring a handyman, is that correct?
Yeah, for the work they would do, it was kind of interspersed among some different facilities, I think. I think someone under cemetery, we don't have any, we have our sexton, but he doesn't do like,
Repairs.
no, he doesn't do that kind of stuff.
He does minimal, I'm sure.
No, he does what his contract calls for.
Right. And it probably.
And the
doesn't come
entire
for
sexton
charity.
didn't do it either.
So if they see something is broken, they just report it and then we hire that
Right.
repair out.
Right, and we have Lawn and Order that does the fall and spring cleanups.
But aren't we gonna
And
have to
also
be
I would
looking
let
at,
everybody know this is the last year on their contract. So that's gonna be something that's gonna have to be put out for bid. And it's really gotta be put out for bid in the fall while people can still go around and look at all the facilities and decide what they're going to late summer, early fall, and decide what they want to bid for. We've usually asked them to supply year 1, year 2, year 3 bids. And so they've got to, and then you have a number for you have a contract in place and you have a number for budget too, because in the spring, generally in March, early April, there's snow on the ground and it's not as easy for people to get a good handle on what the township is asking to be done. So that's gonna have to be handled, like I say, late summer, early fall, or whenever somebody wants to get to it.
now, I have a question. We are
We have a
past
form
our,
for that,
I just
actually.
passed our 3
we're
hours.
past our 3-hour mark. Do we want to continue on? And if we do, could we take a 15-minute break?
Well, I'll tell you what I have to do. I did not see until yesterday that Ron wanted to add an agenda item for tomorrow. A floodplain ordinance thing, so I need about a half an hour between eating my lunch and renoticing and reposting that meeting.
And
Gotta be
I
done
have,
before 3
I,
o'clock.
the reason why I'm asking, guys, is I have delinquent taxes to get out today. I need to get those out to the citizens to let them know. Oh,
Then
you
I
forgot
think
to
we
pay.
continue this in the next budget meeting,
Which is tomorrow.
We're scheduled tomorrow.
right?
Yeah, we can.
So do
just
you
pick
want to
up
finish
tomorrow.
grounds? town
Finish
hall
downstairs
grounds,
halls and grounds, and
And
then
maybe even cemetery?
that would make sense, and then.
Well, just so you know, tomorrow, I think I gotta leave at 3:30. I
Well,
can't
I have a doctor's
leave at 3 o'clock.
So,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
think people have a short day tomorrow too.
yeah,
So.
but we're making pretty good progress here today, I think.
Yeah, let's finish township halls and grounds and cemeteries, and then
Yeah,
go from
so anybody got any changes? They think, I did see janitorial run up to $1,800. We had it at 1,500. I believe last year I offered to Kim Finch that she could, maybe she wants to readjust her rates, and she did not want to do that last year. Now, maybe Ron's talked to her. But I
She
guess,
use her own vacuum, cause I used your vacuum the
Yeah,
other
no.
day.
yeah, our vacuum's a piece of crap. She brings her own stuff.
Okay. The budget a new vacuum. It didn't even matter. I couldn't even get the stuff off the floor.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's been here really,
So-
it was here before I got here.
If
Okay,
nobody
so
wants to buy a
anyways,
new
with- about
vacuum, I'll
Township
do it.
Hall and
Well,
Grounds,
operating expense and supplies, there you go. It's in that $1,200.
Okay, then I'd like to be the person to get you a new vacuum. God, it was
Well,
terrible.
just pick one out, get a purchase. I can issue a purchase order if I have the details on it. And then if you want to go get it, and we can pay for it on the credit card or something.
Okay, can I just buy it and expense it,
Get reimbursed, sure.
get reimbursed?
Yeah.
I would rather do that.
Well, I guess I
It's too
think-
hard to shop. If you want a good deal, then you have to let me expense
Well,
it. If
I
you don't want to
guess
expense it, then you
would
get
be
top
only be
dollar.
comfortable with that if the board put a limit on how much, you can spend. We don't
How
need
much
a
do you think
$1,000
you'll spend
vacuum
on
cleaner.
vacuum cleaner For
No.
this.
For this carpet right here, under 300.
Well, I spent $120 on a shark,
That's what I bought.
simple, it's not big, doesn't have bags, and it's,
Nope.
and it's not, it's corded, so that you don't have to charge
See,
it all
mine's
the
not
time.
corded.
I got two, and I don't like to always having to charge mine, so. I would say probably under $200 or $200.
But do you want one that you have to charge or one that you don't
I
charge?
not charge.
I don't think it matters here. The biggest problem is you do need something that has attachments because you do have corners and.
Well, mine does.
Right, I know what you're talking about, but I will
Well,
bring you some
remember that
pictures.
The only one that's gonna use it is if one of us, gets something on the floor, and the cleaning person isn't gonna use it.
Well, I'll take
It'll
that
be
one.
For one of us.
The
that-
one you have now might be fixable if somebody just cleans it. And I'll take it and have it checked and cleaned, but on my expense, but I won't buy anything until I submit you pictures. That's all I got.
All right, so,
Yeah,
So we're off
so
track.
yeah, at 8:10, we just need to ask that question. Maybe Ron talked to Kim and she's planning on raising her rates, so
yeah,
I
right,
think we
yeah,
need to
yeah,
figure that out.
right, so we can leave that there.
How about we just put revisit?
Yeah.
Is Ron on?
Okay, so what about everything else there? Waste removal has gone up. I don't like the 225. They raise the rates whenever they feel like it. It's 23.20 per month right now here. But we've had a couple rate increases.
220.
So to me, I think we should make it $30
Yeah,
times a month. I think we should make it 360.
I think that's prudent.
Let's see, waste removal. Yeah, I think we should make that 360.
Oh my God.
Snow
My pen is
plowing,
broken.
I'm in agreement with. Internet website. I'm not sure when we've already spent 1,600 this year, if we should be going down on that. Because probably their fees are going up, maybe 1,800 or something.
I 1,800 be prudent. It's a $300 but
Right. Electricity, I'm good. Heat, telephone, facility repairs, maintenance, I'm good with all those line items unless somebody wants to change something.
no, I'm good.
And then cemetery.
What would wages be in there for 500?
The sections fees.
No,
those
that's
are-
808.
808 cemetery sexton.
Yeah, so what's the wages there?
I think that was just, we had something in there in case we asked somebody to do something. There,
yeah,
just
just-
kind of a token of
The
money.
handyman guy.
Yeah, in case we.
Yeah, so take that out.
Okay.
Are we leaving it or taking it out?
I say we leave it.
Leave it in
Same
case
here.
a tree falls down. It's like one tree.
Well, if a tree falls down, you're gonna be calling the tree service and it's gonna be more than $500 generally. Those are big trees and some of them are in bad shape.
This operational expense and supplies, what do you do with that? Do we have like a,
Well, I'm trying to remember, I'd have to pull the detail on that, but it has been around $500-600 a year.
Probably mulch,
Um,
cleaning products.
Trying to remember what we,
Well, what would you do in a cemetery? You would,
well, oh, okay, I know one thing, we buy the grave flags out of there
Oh,
for the American Legion. Flags for the, there's a flagpole at each cemetery and they need, new flags. So we get new flags out of there. I can't remember what else we get out of there. I'd have to pull the detail on that, but I think Ron upping it to 1,000 is fine. Maybe he's thinking of something that we haven't.
it was 1,000 last year?
Yeah, oh yeah, I guess he's just keeping it the same.
mhm.
But it's been pretty steady at that one, what we've spent. Sexton, 4,000, geez, I can't see it going that high, and I know that's what we had last year. But,
Maybe we did that because of COVID.
we might have done it because the year before we spent 22-25.
I'd say 3,000.
3,000, yeah, that ought to get it. And then lawn maintenance, I think there is an increase this year. He's probably looked at that, so the 4,500 is probably good. And the electricity, and then facility repairs, maintenance, last year we did the pruning of trees in Williamsburg Cemetery, but the same thing needs to be done in Circle Hill Cemetery, and that's a bigger cemetery. I don't know, certainly there's a lot of big tree branches that need to come down and maybe some trees that need to come down. That's something that we would need to investigate with. He's got note 9, independent contractor use line 930.
I think we might just
Yeah.
want to revisit it so we know what
I would revisit that because.
So we know where he came up with the 20?
Or
Yeah,
just what he's thinking of services in there.
right. Well, mostly I think it would be tree removal.
I would-
but,
That's
That
what
would be
I'm
my
thinking,
assumption,
unless we
Yeah.
maybe,
Just-
do any of them have gradual or?
Revisit, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so
So the next one will start out at planning commission.
Yep.
Does anybody know if we got any, Heidi, do you know if they decided to? weigh in?
Somebody was working on that and I know we're discussing it in the upcoming meeting, so you might want to hold off on this a little. Because I know there was discussion of upping a few things. So can you guys just give us one more meeting and we should have a budget out of that?
well, we're gonna start with it tomorrow and we can, we can
Okay,
use these figures.
Okay,
unless
Cheryl,
Ron
Cheryl,
has some other.
Cheryl. I should have an agenda out shortly, so by tomorrow you should have that budget. possible.
Okay, well, that'd be great. If we do, fine. Otherwise, we'll take a look at these figures. I think we're not gonna stop talking. We're not gonna not go through planning commission because, if we have a budget, great, but Ron used something to come up with these numbers. So, so if we're done, talking about budget and we'll start with planning commission tomorrow, are there any board comments and discussion? Okay, and the next item is public comment. We have no one in the township hall. Is there anyone on Zoom, Lois, who would like to comment?
Connie Highmore has her hand up.
Go ahead, Connie.
Hi, good afternoon. I'd like to thank you for more investigating of the code enforcement complaint. When you came out and you made your motion, I wasn't quite prepared to write it down, so I'll be requesting a copy of that from Lois so I can hear it. We appreciate the closer look at this so that we don't have any more errors going forward. And I really do hope for the best for the township. I'd like to comment. It's kind of unfair of me to comment on Frank's comment that he made. But when Ardella wanted to clarify the fact that I read, and it stated the zoning administrator, assessor, and treasurer approved the Morrison Orchard Land Division application. I am going to assume, and I think I'm correct in this, that Frank was referring to the application for land combination / divisions and boundary adjustments. And Ardella's signature is on there as the treasurer. And I read above that her part of that signature, the reason for her signature states as of 5th May 2020, township records show that all taxes, special assessments, fees, and or penalties billed to date on the above referenced parcels have been paid. That was Ardella's part. I know she doesn't do land division. That's not the job requirement of a treasurer. So Ardella, I apologize to you if I hit a nerve there or Frank hit a nerve. That was all he meant by that, was that your signature was on the document. I know you don't do and wouldn't expect you to do a zoning job like that. So I apologize. And that's all I have on that. So thank you for all the work that you do, all of you. Thank you for the township cleanup. I know that's a huge project and it's very valuable to the community. We have several go on down here in Monroe, and they're amazing things to do for and offer for the community. So thank you for that, Ardella. And I'll see you soon. Have a great afternoon.
Do we have anyone else with a hand up? Lois?
And Vicky Beam has her hand up.
Good
ahead.
afternoon. Good afternoon. I would echo what Connie has already stated. I was very pleasantly surprised that you decided to do further investigation. And in many of these meetings, we have all offered to help. We don't want to be adversaries. That isn't it at all. I think all of us collectively have a goal of making Whitewater Township the best community we can all be living in. And so I would offer to you anything that I could do to help in getting together some of the documents or resources that you need to investigate this further. I don't want to volunteer their time, but I know that Connie and Frank have both spent probably thousands of hours poring over different documents and that. So again, I would just leave it out there. And I, again, thank you. I really want this to be done the right way. It is not just Baggs Road. An error was made, and unfortunately, I think we all know where it needs to end up. But ordinances are there for a reason. Thank you.
Is there anyone else, Lois?
There's not.
Motion to adjourn?
No board comments? Okay.
We already did that.
Oh, okay. I
She
missed
offered those up.
Motion, you made the motion, Della?
I did.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Bennett,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
Goss, yes, Balmuth.
Yes.
And Papa's absent. This meeting is adjourned at 12:27 PM.
Ardell, I'm sending you the scrap, Brian.